Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. How are you doing? My name is Victor Lo. Welcome to the program. Another good day that we are here once again. How are you doing? This day is 11th of March 2025, and we are back like we never left yesterday. Time flies pretty fast, Vivian, right?
Very fast. I mean, it's yet another day, brand new day, and we are more than grateful to be here.
Exactly. Mike seems like he never went home. He just went back to change and came back. That's how fast time flies.
Oh, yes. It's like blinking and the next day is here. Yeah.
All right. Welcome. We have preserved this moment for the lady in blue. You'll see her at the right time.
Oh, yeah.
Director Maribu.
Anyway, we all have a hint of blue.
Yes.
You know, Regina has the blue. I have a blue on my coat.
Ah, very good.
You know?
In whole glory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Megwe also has a touch of blue on the tie, the navy, and then you also have your light blue shirt. So we all got the
Mine is Afande blue.
Yes, a scary blue.
Yes.
So we all got the memo.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the team, always upbeat as we start the day. So at exactly 7, we'll be talking about, so after the union, work begins. Yesterday, the president was in Nairobi, and he was flanked by a number of members of parliament, all of them from across the political divide. I'll be having that discussion. After the unity, it's work. So let's talk about that at exactly 7. Omboko Milemba, Member of Parliament, Emuhaya constituency from Western Kenya, will be here. Peter Orero, representing great people of Kibra, and Fred Ogola, who is the convener of J25 movement, all of them. He's a professor, so to say. He'll be here, all of them will be here at 7. Let's talk about that. After the unity, it's work. So let's talk about that at 7. Meanwhile, Vivian, are we okay?
I'm very okay.
Great.
And I hope that each and every one of you who is tuned in on the show this morning is also doing all right, and you've started your day right. Now, immediately after we get to listen to some politics, we will be getting into health matters. That is our health check. And the month of March being awareness month for endometriosis, it is only right for us to have a conversation on this particular condition that gets to affect very, very many women. So we'll be having our topic as endometriosis and just breaking the silence about it and creating awareness. And with me in studio will be one Elsie Wandera, who is an endo warrior, and then we'll also be having Dr. Lauren Mengesa. Dr. Lauren Mengesa is from the Kenya Obstetrical and Gynecological Society, and they will be here to just get to talk to us about that. We'll get to hear from the side of someone who's had the condition, and then we are also going to be listening to what the doctor has to say. You definitely want to stay tuned for this. Tell your sisters, tell your mothers, tell every female to just stay on board. We'll be having that conversation at 9 a.m. Megwe, you also have some health matters. Tell us what we'll be talking about.
On the same breath of health matters, being that it's a Health Tuesday, we are going to look at teen pregnancies and trauma. Now, according to the World Health Organization, over 21 million teenagers aged between 15 and 19 get pregnant, and out of that, only 12 million give birth. Now, this getting pregnant at that age can have adverse effects, especially when it comes to mental health of the teenager, besides having bodily changes and the normal physical changes. And that is what will form the premise of our conversation. And Dr. Evangeline Wangeshi, who is a public health practitioner in Arizona, United States, and also Dr. Deirdre Wade, who is a professional clinical counselor and supervisor in Kentucky, and also Dr. Yolanda, who is a professional counseling psychologist, will be joining me here in studio to talk about this in detail. So that is a conversation that will be coming to you after the politics, so you want to tune in. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning to you, team. So after you've heard what we're going to be having in as far as our conversations are concerned this Health Tuesday, matters of politics, after unity, we work. Is it going to be working for Wanjiko? That's a big question. Let's bring you up to speed with those stories that have been making headlines in the 12 hours or so. And we start off with a statement where the government has refuted claims that Bomas of Kenya has been sold. Now, in a statement, the government has termed the claims fake reckless and deliberately misleading. The statement further clarified that contrary to the allegations, the institution is being transformed into a world-class international conference and cultural center. What is your take on that? Get us on X at KBC Channel 1. And we begin in the headlines on a security note, where residents of Wamba area in Samburu County took to the streets to protest the killing of a local trader in an attack that also left children injured and 2 shop assistants seriously injured and admitted at the Mararal Referral Hospital. The irate residents burnt tires and blocked the main entrance road to the town, bringing businesses to a standstill the entire day. The residents claim that since the beginning of this year, over 10 people have been killed by bandits in the area. While area DCC Langat Mutai confirmed the incident, he urged the residents to be calm as security personnel pursue the bandits. One of the injured had a bullet lodged in his chest.
Tumesikitika jana kwa jambo ambayo ilitokea jana usiku, ambaye tumepoteza kijana wetu mmoja ambaye tunamuita Ndoiga, ambaye ni kijana ambaye ukikuwa na shida yoyote ukimpigia ako kwa upezi sana, ambaye anakuja kwa haraka na anakusaidia.
Tunaomba KPR backup kwa villages ambaye ziko karibu na town. Tunataka town yetu ioperate biashara 24 hours ndio watu waweze kujifaidi kwa biashara.
Tunaona maduka ikibomolewa, watu wakipigwa wakiwalela. Sasa tunataka security, hali ya usalama imesambaratika na barabara imeharibika sana. Sasa tunalilia serikali yetu kuu kama wanaweza kutusaidia.
Hii Wamba hatuna security Wamba kabisa. Wamba maduka sinafunjwa, wanasema ni warani. Na murani hawezi toka kuiba ng'ombe akuja ibe town.
Na ninaomba kwa unyenyekevu wote wananchi wa Wamba na Samburu East kwa ujumla tutoe ile information ambayo itasaidia asasi za usalama kuweza kupambana na kurejesha hali ya utulivu katika area yetu.
We'll be keeping tabs on that development. Still on matters security, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has reaffirmed the government's commitment to safeguard the welfare of refugees despite growing concerns over aid cuts. Speaking after a closed-door meeting with ambassadors and international donors in Nairobi, Murkomen commended the U.S. government for lifting the ban on humanitarian funding, easing fears of food rations in the camps. The meeting also addressed security concerns following recent protests by refugees in Kakuma over dwindling resources. Here's Ben Chumba with the details.
A crucial meeting between the Kenyan government and key international donors has provided much-needed assurance for thousands of refugees in the country. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen lauding the U.S. government for lifting the ban on humanitarian funding, noting this will, among others, ensure food assistance in Kenya's refugee camps remain steady despite fears of possible cuts.
And we have been given full assurance that between now, within this year, there is no fear that the rationing will go below what it is now, which is 40%. So for now, we are very confident that the refugees both in Dadaab and in Kakuma and Kalamboye are going to be taken care of in the near future.
The meeting comes in the wake of growing anxiety among refugees, particularly in Kakuma, where protests erupted over dwindling resources. While concerns remain about long-term sustainability, the Kenyan government is working on the Shirika Plan, an initiative aimed at integrating refugees into the country's socio-economic framework a move that will also be beneficial to the host communities.
We have agreed in this meeting that we'll go back, interrogate the figures and the numbers that are necessary of the resources that are necessary to roll out the Shirika plan and secure firm and quantifiable commitments from the development partners before we can roll out the Shirika plan. And we believe that that can be achieved in the shortest time possible.
Public participation, fine-tuning of the legal and regulatory framework, and partner support are crucial for the success of the Shirika plan. With refugee numbers growing and global donor priorities shifting, the question remains, how sustainable is Kenya's refugee support system in the long run?
To see how best we can deal with the question of the refugees. As we all know that refugees were expected to be here for a short period of time, but now they have been in the country for 35 years. We cannot continue having this situation persisting forever.
A section of political and professional leaders from Gusii and Kuria regions are asking the government to urgently address issues affecting development in the area, including infrastructure gaps and youth unemployment. The leaders met in Nairobi on Monday in the wake of a political pact between UDA and ODM, which has sparked mixed reactions across the country.
A day after rowdy youth disrupted a meeting attended by the Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga at Gusii Stadium in Kisii County, leaders from the region on Monday expressed their mixed reactions over the events. Addressing a Gusii and Kuria multi-sectoral consultative forum in Nairobi, Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka further distanced himself from the heckling of Odinga on Sunday.
I would like to say that what happened in Kisii yesterday had nothing to do with me. I respect Mzee Raila. I disagree with him variously and severally on various issues, but my style of politics doesn't make me look for resources and time and money to plan how to heckle anybody.
The senator, however, took issue with National Assembly's Chief Whip Silvana Sosoro's bid to rally Gusii region behind President William Ruto re-election in 2027. On his part, Osoro, who decried the Gusii Stadium incident, however, voiced his disquiet over what he described as marginalization of the community.
What exactly are people protesting over? Why are people agitated in our villages? Why? It is because from the brotherhood that we've supported over the years, and this I must say, we have somehow not benefited much from the support we've given our neighbors. That is the problem.
The leaders who spoke at the meeting urged the government to urgently address poor infrastructure, health education, and unemployment gaps affecting people of the region.
The leaders noted that despite the valuable endowments, the Gusii Kuria region continues to face significant challenges that hinder our progress. These include infrastructure gaps, youth unemployment, inadequate education and skills development programs, insufficient healthcare access, and lack of substantive economic inclusion and investment opportunities.
That is likely going to come up in the conversation that Victor is going to be having with our panel now discussing after the supposed, what they're calling, or rather political pundits are referring to another handshake in the making. Now, after the handshake or the unity comes work. Is it? That's a part of a conversation we're going to be having, looking at now the dynamics and the change in the political matrix. The United Democratic Alliance, UDA, has announced a second phase of its grassroots election, which will be held between April 11th and 12th across 22 counties. United Democratic Alliance Chairperson Cecilia Mbarire said the registration process will close on Friday, 21st of March at midnight. Through the online portal uda.ke. The party so far has procured over 10,000 gadgets to ensure that the election is conducted seamlessly through a digital electronic framework that ensures the election is open, free and fair, with instant results such as at poll closure. The party has also so far successfully conducted the election in 5 counties.
the UDA party is excited to announce the upcoming grassroots elections scheduled for the April 11th and 12th of 2025 across 22 counties. The registration for candidates is now open and will remain available until the Friday 21st March 2025 at midnight.
All our members are encouraged to participate and to know that the election will be seriously free and fair.
Kwamba kutakuwa na uchaguzi wa huru, uchaguzi wa usawa, na tutatumia njia ya elektroniki ambapo moja kwa moja pale mkishamaliza uchaguzi mtaweza kupata majibu.
As UDA party, we are invigorated, we are energized, we are raring to go because as a ruling party, we have no intention of letting anybody catch up with us. We want to grow our margin, our numbers in parliament from the current almost 150 members of parliament to even over and above that.
Now to the corridors of justice. This is a report that has been prepared by Ruth Wamboi that indicates that members of the Dupto settlement scheme located in Embakasi South are calling for investigations into the embezzlement and misappropriation of 2.7 billion shillings set aside to compensate them following the acquisition of their ancestral land. Through their lawyer Thomas Letangule, the members claim they were forcefully evicted from a piece of land they occupied for over 30 years. Here are the details.
In 2024, the members filed a case in the Environment and Lands Court seeking to stop Kenya Railway Corporation and the National Land Commission from making any payments related to the compulsory acquisition of the land.
Watoto wetu wanahangaika. Saa hii tunakaa bado kama watu kama sisi hakuna pesa tulipewa. Pesa ilipeana mikono tofauti na wakili wetu.
Eka 38 nasikia tu ajaenda mahali iko hapo, naambia sasa rais saidia sisi ipate hiyo eka yetu 38.
However, through lawyer Thomas Letangule, they argue that despite relocating with the promise of receiving the compensation, they have not been paid yet.
We sat with the NLC chairman, with all these people, and they told me, wakili, toa kesi kotini. Tutalipa hawa watu wako. So I proceeded and removed the case which we had filed in court. The project was being manned by PS Lands, Honorable Generally Nixon Korir. And this letter is detailed. He controlled the whole process. The money was paid to lawyers other than the lawyer for this community.
Elsewhere, the High Court has ordered a local bank to comply with orders issued in January this year within 30 days period. In the ruling, Justice Wayua Mongare stated National Bank of Kenya will have no audience before the court unless the managing director George Odhiambo and the chair pad the content by paying 23 million shillings ordered to a plaintiff in a case.
Odhiambo, so that you call your board and you give them that order, not today's order, the order that was supposed to be complied. They give you power and authority to pay that money, then you come back, we release you from contempt.
The case will be mentioned on 28th April for further directions. Ruth Wamboi for Good Morning, Kenya.
From the courts to business now, where Kenya is developing an integrated organic and mineral fertilizer standard to increase the use of organic fertilizer. Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization Director David Kamau says the standards will guide manufacturers in the mineral composition of organic fertilizer.
Of arable land in Kenya is acidic, which has been negatively affecting food production. To correct this, the Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization is working with the Kenya Bureau of Standards and other government agencies in developing standards to guide and regulate the formal use of organic fertilizer.
We plan to meet with the Organic Agriculture Technical Committee so that we can do the standard on mineral organic fertilizers. I think once we do that, then we can be sure that the standards are set, because that is one of the missing links. which we have in Kenya today.
Structures to integrate the use of organic and synthetic fertilizer are also being put in place.
Most sustainable farming system we can have will be one that is organic. However, we need to integrate because we also need to ensure that we have the quick wins.
They are calling for urgent strategic efforts to restore soils within 10 years.
Actually start adding the organic materials into the soils systematically. The beauty about it is that it builds up as the farmer is adding, from one season to another. So we are promoting adding of organic fertilizer or soil conditioner, at least one bag for every purchase of DAP or NPK or CAN.
Still keeping up with matters agriculture, farmers in Nakuru County are actively preserving indigenous seeds at community seed banks to prevent their extinction. Eden Indigenous Seed Farms, a community-based organization, is leading this initiative by supporting farmers in seed preservation while promoting organic farming and kitchen gardening.
It's Lucia Wamboi, a small-scale farmer from Makongo, Makueni County, who shares her success story of growing nyakairo and indigenous bean variety along with other crops. Wamboi has practiced organic farming for over 5 years, enabling her to meet her family's needs.
Mimi nikitaka hizo mbegu, kama nikitoka hapa niende Kitale na angalia hii mbegu na sijaiona kwetu, acha nikuje. Nikiipanda inaendelea na mimi naendelea kuipanda. Kwa hivyo wewe ukiwa huna hiyo mbegu, unakuja ninakubadilishia ama ninakupea. Tumepanda mbegu mpaka Turukana.
She is among the 800 farmers working with Eden Indigenous Seed Farms, a farmer-owned indigenous seed company to preserve indigenous seeds and prevent their extinction.
Tuko na aina ya 124 variety ya mbegu ambayo tumeweza kufanya so far.
Through partnerships with local community seed banks and agricultural experts, the organization conducts model fossil analysis to identify crop species at risk of extinction. Once identified, the seeds are cultivated using organic farming methods and secured in community-based seed banks.
Tukiendelea hivyo, tutakuwa na chakula ambaye haiishi. Kwa sababu ukiangalia huku kwingi, wakati wa kiangazi kama sasa hakuna kitu kwa shamba, hakuna mavuno, lakini ukienda kwa mashamba yetu utaona mihogo ambaye tuko nazo, utaona mandizi, utaona miwa.
Eden Indigenous Seed Farms founder Francis Ngiri highlighted the challenges smallholder farmers face in sustaining crop production and earning a livelihood.
Vizuri imeanza kurealize agroecology is the way forward na ndio ukulima ambaye ni sustainable. Kwa hivyo tungependa vitu kama inputs, tupewe inputs za kulima, kama tuna vitu zinaitwa organic fertilizer, organic manure, wasaidie vijana wetu waweze kuunda.
Experts stressed the importance of training programs in equipping smallholder farmers with the skills to maximize farm productivity, improve food security, and promote sustainable agriculture.
To sports now, Kenya's Veronica Mbithe has been eliminated from the ongoing 2025 IBA Women's World Boxing Championship in Nice, Serbia, after suffering a 5-0 defeat to Kazakhstan's Belkolova Alua in the round of 32 of the light flyweight bout. Despite putting up a spirited fight, Mbithe was unable to counter Balkova's aggressive approach, losing by unanimous decision. Now the judges scored the bout 30-27, 30-26, 30-24, 30-27 and 30-27 in favor of the Kazakh boxer. With the win, Alua advances to the round of 16, where she will face Yasmin Motago of Morocco. Kenya still has 7 boxers in the contention at the global boxing competition, which has attracted over 500 fighters from 40 nations. Among them, Pauline Chege Wandia, who will battle Djokovic Bojana of Montenegro tonight at the round of 32 at the elite women's 54-57 kg featherweight category, while Cynthia Mwai Mwihaki is set to take on Edith Hernandez Gonzalez of Mexico in the elite women's 60-63 light welterweight division.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That puts a cap on matters in the headlines this morning. Be sure to keep tabs on what is trending across board, including the president's tour, as well as the political dynamics following that pact of unity between UDA, ODM and UDM there. What does this mean for the political matrix, especially? Do we have a vibrant opposition? That's a question that Victor is going to be posing to his panel in not too long, where you're welcome to give your feedback. Get us on X at KBC Channel 1. Tonight, we're also going to be discussing matters of social protection with a keen interest on the Inua Jamii program. So do set the date and the time. It's 9 p.m. I'm Regina Manyara. Have a pleasant day ahead.
Pindi tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji ulobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
nĩ harĩa tũkoragwo tũkĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hoda,
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Shoro FM.
Absolutely no way. You should keep it.
Come on, what's going on? Why did you bump into the door? Who is that?
Put your feelings aside for now and focus on your work.
Last night we agreed that we won't flirt anymore, and it hasn't been 24 hours yet. Why did you break your promise?
Don't be jealous over there. That one, I cannot touch.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
All right, welcome back. Good morning. It's time for, it's actually 3 minutes past 7 a.m. A quick update on your time. Welcome to the program on this beautiful day of 11th day, yes, of March 2025. This is Good Morning Kenya. It's now time for us to take a look at what's happening in the political segment. And today being the Tuesday, you know, it's people and politics. So, as usual, our lines will be on, so you can talk to us. It's a 0716 10 3301. Lines will be on, and we'll be receiving your calls later on in the program, so get ready. 0716 10 3301. 0716 10 3301. And my guests are already in studio. I have Professor Fred Ogola, who is the convener J25 movement. Prof, good morning.
Morning, my brother.
It's been a while.
Yes.
You're great.
I'm doing very well.
Good to see you.
Yes.
I see you have a book with you.
Yeah, this book is called Solomonic Economics.
Okay.
Solomonic economics is the economic theory that's what Kenya wants. And in this Solomonic economics theory, we have developed a model that should sort out these economic problems. And I'm sure when you get time, we can discuss more in details.
Good to see that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yes.
And Mheshimiwa Peter Orero is here. Mheshimiwa, good morning.
Morning to you.
The last time you were here, you were in a different group. We are here again, you're in a different group. Life is interesting. How does it feel being in that corner? It's warm.
I don't know which group we are talking about. When I was there, I think I was a member of ODM political party.
Yes.
Which I'm still a member of ODM political party. Representing the good people of Kibra.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I see what you've done there, but it's fine. It's fine. I'll get into that discussion pretty well. Welcome to the program. How about we take a look at the front page of the local dailies? Before that, we're still waiting for Mboko Milemba, who is also the parliamentarian or representing Emuhaya constituency. He'll be here shortly. All right, but nonetheless, the show has to go on. So on the front page of the Daily Nation, civil servants reject SHA deal. That is what is here on the front page of the local daily. Civil servants reject SHA deal. The workers say the workers enjoyed comprehensive medical cover under the now defunct NHIF, but it seems that they have rejected the SHA deal. It says that civil servants have warned of a strike beginning March 18th if the government fails to address their grievances on the new medical scheme run by the Social Health Authority, that is SHA, saying that they are being forced to fundraise to meet their medical needs because the state-run scheme is not working. That's a discussion that has been there for quite some time. Unity test, Raila men skip route tour of Nairobi. Was it? I'm yet to find out. The three gentlemen on the front page, one, Senator, that is of Nairobi, Edwin Sifuna, Embakasi East MP Babu Wino, and Westlands MP Timothy Wanyonyi. Those are the three gentlemen who are profiled on the front page of the Daily Nation. The president was on a working tour where he launched and actually supervised and oversaw actually different projects within the county. I can see Governor Sakaja there, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, and of course the president. This must have been during the Dishi. That's a project launched by the county government.
Yes, at Zawadi.
You were part of this entourage yesterday.
Yes, I was.
A quick update, as our reporter 001, what happened on the ground?
I have not reported 001.
Right.
But what I say is that the members of parliament in Nairobi especially aligned to the Orange Democratic Party, the Jubilee, also member of parliament, and those who are members inclined to the memorandum that was signed between the ODM and the UDA, accompanied the president during his development tour within a Nairobi region. And this tour was in Kamkunji. He was to launch this project, the affordable houses along the reclamation of the river, the Nairobi River, the cleaning of the Nairobi River at Kamkunji grounds. But I think it took his time also to see some of the projects that are going on within the Kamkunji constituency. One of them is the TVET, the TVET which currently has about 600 students and has equipments from G2G cooperation from China, had good equipments that have been brought in there. Also at Zawadi, where we have the Dishi for kids, the governor of Nairobi, I think partners with other public-private partnership that is looking at the Dishi in Nairobi. He was at Zawadi also. And also the housing at Shauri Moyo, the affordable houses at Shauri Moyo. He also went to check the progress of those housing, affordable housing. I think that took part of almost the whole day, and we accompanied him to see what was happening. Yes.
Okay. Very well. Discussion on that shortly. On the Standard, magnificent duo. The two ladies on the front line. Magnificent duo. I have them here at a time when independent institutions at a time when independent institutions are weakened and Parliament appears increasingly aligned to the executive. Auditor General Nancy Gathongo and Controller of Budget Margaret Nyakango have remained unwavering public watchdogs, championing accountability in the use of public resources. Despite intense scrutiny and accusations of corruption from MPs, they remain steadfast in their commitment to serving the country. The two ladies who are, causing a lot of jitters, so to speak, making many people uncomfortable. Prof, once it comes to economy, these two ladies stand out on the front page. How does it reflect with what this called Solomonic
economics?
Solomonic economics.
Yeah, first of all,
can you relate these two ladies in any part of your book?
Yes, actually, last week we were in Mombasa for our conference, which is Association of Women Accountants of Kenya. And these women are members of Association of Women Accountants of Kenya. And actually, we are there with Senator Nyonka, and there's a proposal actually to give them some kind of a reward from some kind of members of Parliament and Senate for the unwavering work they have done. I remember that if you look at this world, the value of women into changing this country is much bigger than men. Because you can hear the MP of Kibra already aligned to a government, which they know very well is the opposite of what Kenyans want. Solomonic economics believes that for you to be able to give Kenyans a welfare state, even I relate to the some front page for the nation, which was there, about Shah, that we must be able to have a lean and clean government. Lean and clean, not a broad-based government, because a broad-based government increases the cost of running government. When the government expenditure is this high, whereby out of the 4.3 trillion budget we are having this year, only 700 billion is going into budget development, and the rest of them, they are eating it up. So if you look at everything this government is doing, it's just increasing cost of running government. Those tours, they're not necessary. When somebody is launching how to feed the county, why should the president be there? And the cost of taking a president even by 1 meter, when the president moves by 1 kilometer, you spend almost 200,000, just 1 kilometer. Look at the vehicles he uses, just look. And when he moves with all these people together. How can a whole country meet to launch how to feed 20,000 people? All these ministers, all these MPs, all these MCs, the president, the office of the president, vice president, deputy president, going to launch how to feed 5,000 people, which is costing us around 10 million to put a budget of 200,000. I mean, for me, it's completely crazy. So Solomonic economics is very clear on lean and clean government, because this government has only two problems, only two. It is grossly corrupt and grossly incompetent. If you remove those things, Solomonic economics talks about the brightest, the best and brightest of people running this country. Now, you look from the county government, isn't it, to all different government, even national government. Are we having the brightest and the best? And the best and brightest here is these ladies. Brightest in the sense that they know what accountability is all about, integrity, they know about it, so they can be able to tease out from the government revenue expenditure, realize there's something wrong. So they're the brightest. Best means in the spite of all adversaries, where members of parliament have been bought. For example, when you saw that deal being signed in KICC, 2 people signed it here, they support it. 2 people signed, the president and Raila Odinga, isn't it? They own parliament, isn't it? Therefore, all parliament will escort them where they are going. Even if they are taking us to hell, they'll escort. These ladies stand out and give audit reports that instead of this member of parliament escorting the president, all these things, they should sit in parliament to look at these audit reports and call the president to order. But they can't do it. So we only have 2 people. That's why they are there outstanding. Only 2 outstanding ladies. There's no gentleman there. And then they'll be called iron women. they'll be given some funny names. Yet we have men who are not iron at all. Some of them are just clay.
Oh.
Yes, so we have clay members of parliament, but we have iron women telling them the report they need to handle.
You can put it in a better way.
No, let me tell you, my brother.
You can put it in a better way.
Do you know why organizations fall? When an iron clay is on top of an iron metal is sitting on clay. So they are given reports. These audit reports should go to parliament. Look at the constitution. They should be debated. Since these ladies started to bring these audit reports, have you had parliament thoroughly interrogating those issues? This parliament, even the ladies revealed this last week, this parliament, before the constitution 2010, they used to be having a budget of around 5 billion, isn't it? Now the parliament runs on 36 billion shillings a year, isn't it? Now, asking ourselves, where are we going with these kind of things?
Okay.
The parliament can do this thing right. So Solomonic economics is very clear that we have a lot of economic challenges that we have to address here. Budgeting, according to Solomonic economics, should be done from the grassroots level. It proposes, isn't it? But here, member of parliament go to parliament and allocate money for themselves, but leaves everybody else scraping for crumbs. So even as young people, we have said, we will never be part of implementing. Young people, yes. No, come on.
How long does it take you to be a prof? Although youngness is about
Victor,
the mind.
Victor,
you are young as your mind feels.
I am young because I'm young because I got my PhD when I was 28 and a half years, isn't it? I'm one of the youngest deputy vice chancellors in this country. I'm a deputy vice chancellor of Uzima University at this age, isn't it? Tell me how many people are there. So when I mean young, we have achieved so much within a short period of time, and these guys are trying to derail them.
Okay.
In fact, don't distract me. When I say as young people, we have said, we will not be allowed to be part of implementing what we didn't plan. We didn't plan that signing at KCC. We didn't plan an ADCO. And the cost of implementing that thing, they have not even calculated, and they are running around supporting it. If you ask this member of parliament here from Kibra, how much money will it cost to implement that signed deal there? He doesn't know, but he's already supporting it. And there should be oversight. So these ladies know the numbers. I, as an economist, I know the numbers. BBI was supposed to cost this country 361 billion shillings annually to implement, isn't it? They never said that. They were just supporting. They even supported it, isn't it? Now it failed. And Raila Odinga was given 13 billion shillings to popularize BBI, knowing very well it will fail. Now they're going to be given around 33 billion shillings to popularize NADCO. And they know Wananchi will reject it. But they don't care so long as they get that money to run around with it. That is my pain.
Yes, a lot of accusations and fireworks coming on your side. 33 billion, 13 billion, 361 billion. You are not aware, you don't know what is there, you don't know what is done.
No, I think, there are certain things that when you pronounce, you must have evidential background, because he's saying we are going to be given 33 billion, which to me, we are doing what is called BPS at the moment. Budget policy statement. I have not seen where this money has been put in our budget policy statement. And some of the pronouncements might be wild, and because we are shaping the perception of this country, I think we must come here with a certain evidential background where we place. I am, for the first time, hearing that Raila was given 13 billion. I am asking whether he was given as a person or as a political party or enhanced, because even in the audited report that we are talking about, this is my first time in Parliament, but the audited reports come to Parliament. The level of debate cannot arbitrarily be determined in this forum. Because each member of parliament has the opportunity to contribute on areas that he feels affect his people. As a political party or as a member of parliament, we are there to represent our people. even when the memorandum is signed,
yes,
it is signed on behalf of a political party. Political parties are formed to acquire power and attain power, irrespective of the route that they take, either as independent political party or as a coalition of political party. A political party is not a charitable organization. It is not an NGO that fights, continually fights for every day for the rights. But political parties are developed on ideologies, like we are a social democrats. Now, this is what we pursue as a political party. And during the signing of that memorandum, we were not there just as individuals, but we are there as a, you know, when you build a political party, like the mature democracies, we have conservative, we have Democrats. You must always pursue your agenda as a close party. Before that time, if you listened very carefully, the machinery organ, the Central Management Committee of our political party had a meeting and resolutions that were read to us on how they determined and what they wanted to do as a political party. We are not saying we are in a multi-party democracy, but before that we were in a single-party democracy. Even in the single-party democracy, we had voices, like now he's saying is one of the youngest professors. We had voices the way he's talking now. Even during that time, we had serious voices that were talking against the government, even in a single-party regime. In a multi-party democracy, there is freedom of speech. And people are allowed to speak their mind the way my friend here. I am happy that he's from Uzima University. I have visited that Uzima University. I'm in education committee. And we have tried, even in education committee, some of their pending bills about the means testing instrument, that the students who are given scholarships in that, some have not been paid. And as a committee, I think we have tried to sort out that problem for the Uzima University, to make my vice chancellor to be comfortable. In the BPS, we have seen that we have some of that. So also, as members of parliament, we look and take care of the people that we think we represent as Uzima University. But I must congratulate them on the work they are doing in the field of medicine, that it is a university that needs to be taken care of as a country. And I think that is where we should go. We are not saying that we are in these political parties for our own interests, but we represent people. We represent Kenyan people. So it does not mean that our voices will be muzzled.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, allow me, before I come to you, Prof. So after the MOU, what next? Because that is the biggest question many Kenyans are asking. What next? Because this is not something unique. We have been in this space for quite some time. We you know, the history will always tell us what happened during Moi, Kibaki, President Kenyatta, and now here we are. But when you look at that event at the KICC, these were two political parties, not coalitions. True or false?
True.
Where does it leave the coalitions?
You know, for you to make a coalition, you must also deposit your agreements with the political parties, whatever.
ORPP.
Yes. Which did not happen. So that is why it is not a coalition. It is merely a memorandum that two political parties, maybe with similar ideologies in certain areas, maybe not all, in certain areas. One of those quoted there is they must strive to reduce the prices of commodities for Kenyans to alleviate the poverty in this country, that we were expressing our dissatisfaction for the Kenya Kwanza government when we were on the streets demanding that the Kenyan people must get the right share of their cake. The prices of commodities in these countries must go down. One of the other items that was listed that Kenyans are talking about at the moment is the mere abductions of people who are expressing their democratic right, either through demonstrations or through a logical presentation of their disaffection with the government. So one of the things that was in the memorandum is we must abhor and we must condemn the continuous abductions of people in this country. So what we are saying is that that memorandum really is not just to support the government, but to bring...
What is it all about?
It wants to, one, as a political party,
yes,
we want to increase democratic space within
which Kenya
this country,
enjoys.
Which Kenya enjoys.
Which Kenya enjoys.
Yes, it enjoys, but we still do not have. That's why we are saying we still have abductions. Why would we have abductions while Kenyans are free to participate freely in democratic, their democratic rights?
Okay.
So
I think, Victor, sorry that...
Yeah. Okay, let's give him a minute.
No, he's free to express himself.
First of all, if you want to increase democratic space, as a political party like ODM, you cannot go to bed with the person decreasing the democratic space. You have to go with the like-minded. You say if abduction is taking place, Kenya Kwanza has been overwhelmingly been accused of it. And they have not been able to explain why they are not the ones. So they could have gone to an MOU with a like-minded party to oppose who is decreasing. You cannot go to bed with the person decreasing democratic space saying you are going to increase democratic space. So for me, I don't think Mheshimiwa will agree with that entirety. I think for me, I want to ask Mheshimiwa too, for the sake of our audience, the question was asked clearly. If you are in Parliament, do you know how much was spent on BBI? Is there any audit report in Parliament? There is. And my figure comes from that. Even if you check, it was 13 billion given, and there was a secretariat in Kitusuru, isn't it? I can even give a report. Do you know why immediately William Ruto took over government, there was a struggling government printer in printing IDs and passports? It is that the secretariat for BBI printed BBI documents, and the printing cost, they never paid the printer, government printer. I can say it was 210 million shillings in printing, which was pending. And the CEO of the government printer put those numbers out there. It's not my numbers. I'm an economist. We don't lie. In God, we trust. The rest bring data. And we act with data. It is there. Do you know how much was spent on BBI? If you don't know, then what are you doing in Parliament? Do you know how much was going to cost Kenyan money? In fact, Musalia Mudavadi is the one who gave the 361 billion. Now I'm quoting him. Go check. The records are there, Victor. I am not here to be told anything, but I want to thank Mheshimiwa for helping Uzima University, and I want to make a plea. As we said, Mheshimiwa, we have 1.5 billion pending bills on the training we did to healthcare professionals in Uzima University, which the government has not paid us. But not just Uzima. MKUs owed 3 billion shillings for the people who are supposed to be trained to go to work abroad. All those pending bills are affecting all government institutions. You saw the other time the Vice Chancellor of Catholic University made a statement in Mombasa, flanked by all Vice Chancellor in their retreat, and they gave a figure of the pending bills. So now, the hurry should not be rushing to talk about NADCO. These things are affecting Kenyans now. Mheshimiwa, you come from Kibra. If you can get ODM getting a budget, or ODM, whatever you guys are, running with this NADCO report about sensitization forums, given 36 billion shillings, and when you look at Kibra, when you just look at Kibra, what can 36 billion shillings do? When you call yourself a social democracy that ODM believes in should offer Kenyans a welfare state. A welfare state, kwa Kiswahili, ni taifa ya ustawi. Meaning, free healthcare, free education, and the SHA is not working, isn't it? Civil servants should go on strike. You are rushing to sign a report. Do you need Raila Odinga and William Ruto to sign something in ICC to implement what the Constitution wants? Between that document in KICC and the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and the laws of Kenya passed in Parliament and policies of Kenya passed in all ministries, do you need to sign that document which has no legal implication? It is about willingness to implement what is there. And I want to tell you, Mheshimiwa, as a governance expert, we have 3 manuals to run a country. Kenya was never meant to run by guesswork. The fathers of this country came out with the first manual, which is the Constitution. Constitution is clear, even how to do budget, how to protect the rights of Kenyans, how to implement, everything is there. Secondly, we set up parliament to pass laws. The laws they pass in parliament is another manual. Even how to do everything, even how you should conduct yourself in public, it is there. Then the ministries develop policies that should be used, for example, in agriculture, in education, in internal security, foreign affairs. So why do you leave a manual to come out with another manual? So this is my phone, isn't it? It's a Samsung phone. Let me give you an example. When I bought this phone, I got a manual in the box, isn't it? So I threw away the manual, then I come to sign an MOU with you how to use my phone. Does it make sense? So these guys are joking with us. Seriously joking with us.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. Do you have a caller already? Okay, let's take a break. And we come back. All right, let's take a caller before we take a break. Kenyans are just, all right. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to you, my brother. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, my name is Douglas.
Sorry?
Douglas.
Yes, Douglas. What's your question or comment?
Yeah, I would say,
yes,
as per the discussion of this morning, the Mzee could not take that initiative. He could listen to the people first before he made an agreement with what he did.
Okay.
Yes.
Very well. Where are you coming from?
I come from Kisii County.
Thank you very much. Okay, so he said that you ought to have listened first before signing that agreement. Can we take a break? And then
we speak it from there.
Then we take it from there. All right. The number to call is 0716 10 3301. Taking a break, we'll be right back shortly. Stay with us.
Ima na wendo mwingi tugikuthokia Embu County, the land of opportunities. Kambunene ya Ngemi FM mushi worata.
Twigagure na kamwetha ka maviu metu. Muroro kiande tukunye maire na murori tuthie thokori besa mivukori cha
manje makiyara uranje muri cietu cia thitima na ronje rwathagana nyamu cia kithaka igitugemeria bururi wetu wa mbere Embu County. Ngemi FM tikomono tukianirira na mugambo munene. Eno ni
Ngemi FM
musie wa urata.
Eno ni nyumba nene
musie wa urata.
Ngemi FM 103.5.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside.
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
All right, welcome back. All of us have their cups of tea. Yes, it's been cold in Nairobi.
Why has not branded the KBC? I mean,
we are neutral. if you know what I mean.
That I mean you are Solomonic. Solomonic means non-aligned.
Exactly. We are here. There's that caller who called from Kisii, and I think this one you can respond to this, that you ought, or okay, both ODM and UDA ought to have listened to Kenyans first before signing that agreement. How true is this statement, or false is this statement?
One, before Raila signed that document on behalf of the party, he did not sign as Raila Odinga himself, but he signed on behalf of the party. And you could see that the person who read the memorandum was the Secretary General of our political party. Now, before that, it was preceded by consultative movements of our party leaders in various parts of the country.
Right.
In fact, when he came to Nairobi, he explained to us that they were to sign this memorandum sometimes, but he could not sign until he consulted with his people. And quoting from him, he said he was doing a random sampling, which he said. So he briefed us that he was in Kisumu, he was in Siaya. He was going to his political bases. He was in Busia, he was in Mandera, Wajir, Northeastern, he was in Kwale, he was in Kilifi, he was in Mombasa, and did random sampling.
But was he aware of the details, the 10-point agenda during the consultative sampling program or tour? Was it part of the agenda being discussed when he was touring the regions?
Of course, he had to seek authority from the party delegates. The people he was meeting are party delegates in various places, and got their thoughts about the intended memorandum. And when he was given the green light by these people, because after discussions with the delegates and asking them whether he could go ahead and have a memorandum of understanding.
Yes.
After getting those approvals is when now he went through the party organ, through the Central Management Committee of our political party, to agree and sign this memorandum. The memorandum was, our Central Management Committee was privy to the details of the memorandum. And no political party is run through different organs.
But these were not discussed during the tours and the consultative forums?
You know, he was giving hints of areas of cooperations.
Okay.
Yeah, where they need to cooperate and why they need to cooperate. And one of the things that he seriously emphasized is that Kenya is bigger than all of us, and we need to move Kenya ahead and make sure that the environment where Kenyans live, we must improve the living environment for all Kenyans. And I think we believe in a democracy, and that is why every 5 years we have to go and elect people whom we think can lead this country. In fact, where I sit, I always question my mind why Kenyans forget very fast. Raila Amolo Odinga has presented himself as a presidential candidate with his visions and what he wants and his policies. And just as my friend was trying to look at what a social democrat is about offering free health services or free education. Those are some of the policies that we talk about. Because Kenyans never gave us that platform and opportunity, and they gave somebody else, we cannot be made accountable for omission and commissions of what we did not make. We must make.
I want you to sip your coffee as we take a call from Omondi.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good morning, Omondi.
Good morning, KBC Channel 1.
Karibu sana. What's your question or comment?
Mimi niruhusu niongee kwa Kiswahili tafadhali.
Sorry?
Niruhusu niongee kwa Kiswahili.
Yes, go ahead. Karibu.
Sisi kama Wakenya tumechoka na huyu Raila, kila siku rudia kitu, arudia kutoka kwa Moi, akuje kwa Kibaki, akuje kwa Uhuru, akuje tena kwa Uhuru, afanye kitu kimoja. Sisi Wakenya, unajua hawa wabunge wenye wako huko bunge hawa wako pamoja, yaani wanaongea kwa pamoja, wajui huku nje sisi chenye tunapitia na chenye tuna yale mambo. Yaani huwezi kuja kuambia, huwezi kuja kukutana na mwizi kwa kona akikimbia watu nyuma yake kama 30 meters nyuma yake, watu wanapiga nduru wanasema mwizi mwizi mwizi, alafu mwambie kuja nikusaidie kubeba hii dunia, umebeba ya pesa nikufiche. Huyo mwizi unafaa umshike, upigie watu nduru, mwambie huyu hawa watu ni mwizi, ndio nimeshika. Raila Kenya amefanya, najaribu kumaanisha hivi, Raila Kenya amefanya, amepata sisi tumesukuma huyu mtu kwa kona kabisa atoke aende, na yeye anakuja kumsaidia.
Mondi amepatika. All right, thank you, Mondi. But we get your point. Mheshimiwa, you can respond to that?
Yeah, of course, as I was talking, one of the things that Kenyans must never be tempted to believe is that every single mistake in this country, they would want to point a finger at Raila. Raila is not Kenya. Kenya is bigger than all of us. And everybody has a right to make decisions. Raila is a single person that has struggled for this country. Even that freedom of speech that Omondi has now.
Right.
During the single party democracy, some of you would not talk like that. But he has created an environment where everybody else in this country can express their mind. Yeah. He has created freedom. He has fought for it, because some people do not know how this freedom came. Raila has fought for this freedom. And they are saying they have pushed somebody to the corner. Why did they, first of all, vote for that person? Raila presented himself as a person. Before this, we as a political party, we pushed this government through our demonstrations to bring down some of the ills and economic ills that is happening. And the Kenyans are not now seeing what we were doing. The same things that they are talking about now are the same things that we were talking about. But because this country is bigger than all of us, we must ensure that we have stability. In fact, what he was trying to tell us during the delegates conference, he cited some of those countries that removed their presidents, but without a clear administrative structure, like Egypt. When their president was up to today, they have not recovered. But as a country now, we must respect. My friend has talked about the tools that we use, like the Constitution. We respect our Constitution, that every 5 years we must allow Kenyans to go for elections.
All right.
And I would want to respond that these tools that we use are very progressive tools.
Allow another caller, David, then I'll come to you, Prof. Kenyans are calling. All right. David, good morning.
Yes, habari yako bwana.
Salama ndugu. How is Gilgil doing?
Niko salama.
Sawa. What is your question ama comment?
Mimi nataka kuchangia niseme aje.
Go ahead.
Hii Kenya sio Raila na sio ya Ruto. Hii Kenya ni ya Mwenyezi Mungu. Huyu mzee Raila ametuzoea sana. Kila mwaka anakuwa, kila uchaguzi anakuwa ni mtu wa kujirudia venye mwenzangu amesema hapo mbele. Kwa hivyo Raila ni mtu wa kujitafutia tumbo yake mwenyewe. Nataka kuambia Wakenya aje.
Yes.
Tuwe macho na tusidanganye, kwa sababu saa hii Kenya kinaendelea ni watu kujisanya, alafu baadaye watuletee zile hela zetu tu ambazo tumewachangia.
Asante. Thank you. Hii Kenya ni wa Kenya wote. That is a very profound statement. Prof.
So first of all, I want to say the following, that because I don't want to go and answer small things in details. First of all, let me say that we should stop blaming Raila Odinga and also stop saying Raila Odinga has betrayed us.
Yeah.
I have analyzed clearly and understood what are the priorities of an 80-year-old. If you look at my brother Douglas from Kisii, Omondi, and even David, maybe you are 30 years old, me I'm 40 years old. The priorities of a 40-year-old are not the same as the one of an 80-year-old. At 80-year-old, you don't want to go to war, isn't it? You want more peace. Maybe you're concerned about your personal health, isn't it? You're concerned about relationship. So whatever Raila is concerned about are not our priorities.
Yes.
For us, some of these young people want a job now, isn't it? That is not Raila Odinga's priorities, isn't it? So let us just leave him alone and let him take his own direction. And I want to invite young people like Douglas, Omondi, and even David to join J25, June 25th, which was born on the street. The aspirations we had when we were on the street June 25th, I was there myself with the other young people. We talked about integrity, isn't it? We talked about accountability. We talked about economic revival, like the issue of creating jobs for young people. Those are not the priorities of these people. Because you don't need to have a broad-based government, take Raila Odinga's establishment, at William Ruto's establishment, put them inside government, and have a mongrel of a government, which will be too costly to run, taking away money from taxpayers. That cannot be the formula. You know what's happening, Victor? If you are broke now, and you have one wife, isn't it? And people are telling you, your kids are shouting, we are hungry, isn't it? The strategy cannot be to marry a second wife. That is not the strategy.
Maybe that wife is going to bring more wealth.
Maybe. But you see, if Raila Odinga and ODM were bringing, let's say, 2 billion or 2 trillion budget to the economy, I would understand they're going to bring wealth, isn't it? But they're coming to suck from the economy. Like that, you're telling about budget. That KICC signing, do you think no money was spent? Or was it the budget? So what I'm trying to say in short, don't cut me because this will have talked for long.
Another caller, you'll pick it on that if you don't mind. Okay. Another caller. This gentleman called Bush from Bunge la Wananchi, Makadara. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
What is your question or comment, briefly?
My comment is, if Mheshimiwa rightfully stated
yes,
that the Honorable Raila has presented himself more than 4 times and has been denied an opportunity by Kenyans. Now, why is he sneaking into the government again through an illegal MOU, yet he has presented himself with this vision at a very high cost to Kenyans, and he has been rejected 4 times. Now he's sneaking again through an illegal MOU, and he has started the habit of sneaking for 4 times, for at least 4 times.
Thank you. That question, Mheshimiwa, you'll answer that.
Yes, actually, I think I'm better off to answer that question because I'll be very direct.
Well, you can also answer that. Okay, go ahead.
Let me tell you what, Raila's priorities are not ours. And if you look at numbers don't lie. In 2007, the voter turnout in Raila's staff, like Luo Nyanza, was 95%. Something 98%, isn't it?
And you know you won that election.
Yes, so you won the election. So saying that Kenyans have never elected you, if you say that, then you're also lying to us because you said you lost the election, you won the election, only that was stolen from you.
Yes,
so blaming Kenyans for not electing you is not being correct because me sitting here voted for you. So I'm giving numbers. Just allow me to answer the question. When you come now to 2013, the turnout was now 75 from Raila's stronghold. Now, in 2022, let me go quickly, they were now 65% turnout, isn't it? What does that tell you? That when people had full faith in you and gave you the mandate to rule the country, the decision you made afterwards were not decisions which were for them. You understand? By going for handshake, isn't it? Yet they gave you a mandate to become opposition, oversight the government consistently until the next election, maybe your vote could go up. Now, with the 2017 having a handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, it made his supporters lose faith that he cannot stand to what he stands for. Now, with 2022 having gotten 65%, and then he has a handshake again, now realize that in Kisii, they chased him away, isn't it? Now, I'm asking all Kenyans, anywhere he goes, please tell him exactly what you feel. How you express that, that's totally up to you. All because according to me, Victor, when we were on KBC set in Bomas during the election, there was a question was asked by a television anchor from KBC. That was O'Brien Kimani. Everybody claimed Raila Odinga is the 5th. Ruto is the 5th. So the question was, who is 5thing? Isn't it? Today, I told people on that set, both Ruto and Raila will 5th, isn't it? Ruto is 5thing as the 5th president, isn't it? Raila is 5thing as the 5th handshake president. And when people are saying Raila Odinga is not the president, let me tell you, from all the analysis I have, when you saw when William Ruto was waiting for Raila Odinga in State House, Mombasa, William Ruto was seated waiting for Raila to arrive. In power, the person who has more power is the one who is waited for.
No.
Raila Odinga, so no, please allow me. Allow me.
That Solomonic economy?
Please listen. Just don't rubbish. Just let me finish.
Who is the current tenant?
Raila Odinga asked himself.
You didn't expect Raila Odinga to be in State House.
No, I mean
in Mombasa. And
there's a way it's done. I can tell you in diplomacy, somebody could usher him in a holding room, and he arrives as a head of state. There's a way to do it. I know diplomacy very well. So let me tell you what, according to Raila Odinga, why should he fight to become president if he's the president? Because I heard people saying Raila came from Addis Ababa.
Is he president?
He's the president.
I think that is a misconception.
No, listen. There's the factor and the due. Please allow...
He's a member of parliament.
Yes.
Allied to ODM. Is he president?
No.
Allow me to explain my point. When Raila Odinga arrived from Addis Ababa, people said he had two alternatives, isn't it? Actually three. One, come and join opposition, isn't it? And put pressure so that we can change the government now, isn't it?
Right.
The second option was join the government, work with the government, isn't it? The third one was retire, isn't it? He chose which one? Join the government. What was the logic? Already he's a president. What Raila wants he gets, he will define the diary of this country from now until this term.
So the question is,
being president means that, in fact, this signing of this thing, So what I'm trying to say is that he has different priorities. He's chosen to execute them the way it suits him. Let Kenyans not talk too much about it. Let them also create their own legacy.
Great.
Because, Victor, you and I will be asked, what were you doing when these things happen? Even us will be asked that question.
Okay. Francis Wamalwa kutoka Kwale. Francis, good morning.
Hello.
Habari asubuhi kaka.
Nzuri sana ndugu.
What's your question and how is Kwale doing?
Kwale ni mzuri, tafadhali niruhusu niongee kwa Kiswahili.
Go ahead. Dakika moja tu. Endelea.
Nami nataka kuchangia kwa sababu
yes.
Huyu mwenzetu mwenye alikuwa anaongea anasema ati Raila ni mzee amefanya anafikia hapo. Mimi siungi mkono kwa sababu Raila tangu zamani akianza wakati handshake, wakati ya Moi, wakati ya Kibaki, alikuwa bado si mzee. Hii ni kitu hatupendi sisi wa Kenya kwa sababu yeye wakati anaona mambo yanaenda mzuri kwenda kusaidia mwananchi wa kawaida, anaenda pale anazuia achukue yeye mwenyewe. Yeye hatupendi sisi kabisa. Ukiangalia kama wakati wa Kibaki, wakati wa 2007, wakati alikuwa ameshinda uchaguzi na akawa na bunge wengi, yeye alienda akapatia Kibaki. Wakati wa Uhuru hivyo. Wakati wa Ruto ni hivyo. Sasa mimi naona Raila hatupendi sisi, yeye anafanya maisha yakuwe magumu kwa sababu sasa kama alikuwa anaenda kusaidia Ruto ili sisi tufinywe, ni kumaanisha anapenda vile tunafinywa, hapendi vile sisi tunaweza kufaidika.
Asante. Kuna jesha huko Kwale? Amenda.
You know,
he says that Raila doesn't love Kenya.
I'm wondering whether these callers, those who are calling you, they are just skewed, or you are vetting the callers. You know, maybe this station is vetting the callers.
That is a general number.
Because now they have seen I represent the bedroom of Baba. Now you want to skew these callers. What we are saying is this.
Right.
In theory, like, he will tell you that people who just speak about an individual, those you cannot keep discussing individual. I almost talked about, I used a word, but the viewers might think I'm saying that we can never keep discussing individuals. Let us discuss policies and things that can help this country. And when a caller say, we as Kenyans, say me, I, because he is not representing any Kenyan in his voice. He's expressing his personal opinion. And in politics, these opinions are expressed in terms of voting. So if you have a strong opinion against Baba. You know, Baba is only one in this country. If you have a strong opinion against Baba, express it during voting. But you cannot keep expressing it after casting a vote to somebody else, then you come and blame Baba. You have been given opportunity to elect your president. Why do you, what the hell do you have that everything that happens in this country, somebody would want to blame Baba? For what reason? All of us as Kenyans have been given opportunity to choose the right leaders. Mimi, I was elected by Kibra people. I want to seek re-election. And I want to ask them to look at my performance, both in the legislation, oversight, and representation. They use those parameters to judge my performance.
Right.
Not just talking about individual. So we must also use parameters, and there are many parameters in the political field to judge a particular person.
So after the MOU, what next? Because there are 10 points, and when you hear Kenyans talking, it says something. So after the MOU, what next? Of course, yesterday you are in a serious tour. Did you see that crowd in Eastleigh?
So in political terms, how do you express your feeling about that crowd? So, you know, in politics, it is when you see people like me here, when I just see a crowd, I feel that I'm touched with the Holy Spirit. Because politics is about numbers. So they resurrect your sleeping mind and you start thinking properly. So those numbers define moments. And there are moments in politics. Those moments define the future of a country. And we are saying that why we were there is because we are the Nairobi MPs. And those are simply development tours, just to see what happens. I don't forge for really for the Kenya Kwanza government. But what we are saying is that let us Kenyans, because that MOU was just signed last week, as Kenyans, let us see where it is going to take us. Because we cannot start talking and we have not, our judgment is too soon.
Okay.
So let us see how it is going to affect the lives of Kenyans. Then from there, we can have data analysis from where the memorandum was signed and when
another caller.
Yes.
Another caller.
Please,
Moses, good morning.
Don't select the calls.
Good morning, sir.
Karibu sana to the program. What's your question or comment?
I want to make a comment and contribute to what you are discussing today.
Very quickly, yes.
Yes. I want to tell our friends who are there that we people from Kisii are really disappointed.
Go ahead. Moses.
He has made his statement.
That statement with finality.
Yeah, so let me respond a little bit to this one. So first of all, I want to be, I'm so disappointed when Mheshimiwa says, when you see a crowd of people on a working day like Monday, coming to listen to politics, it does not only, there's a way to look at it. You may think they are supporting your policy, but their joblessness, it expresses a desperate economy. How would people who are at work come on Monday to involve themselves in a political activity to that number? So let us not just look at it from, for example, how it helps me. But those families, what are they going on? I'm trying to tell Kenyans, avoid these so many meetings because we call them in economics time spent on poverty. You sit there for 8 hours listening to speeches, then when you go home, there's no work at home. SHA is not working, isn't it? Education is not working. No matter how much money you get from it, it doesn't work. And then I also know very well, MPs are also receiving money to attend some of these meetings. Sometimes as little as 50K or 100K. So that crowd for me does not make sense. Then let me talk about the issue of expressing ourselves. 2027, wait and see what will happen. It will shock you. We are going to express ourselves very differently. Because I was on set here, you can remember Victor, talking about Azimio and their policies, isn't it? I won't do that in 2027.
Very good.
I will be speaking on the opposite angle.
Because we are running out of time and you're a great gentleman. The question is, after the MOU, let me ask you the question. Well, you're not part of it, but what next?
What next is, I told you already, they're going to be given money to traverse the country that they're selling the policy.
You can't.
Then there should be a referendum which it will be rejected.
You cannot authenticate that.
No, it's already, it's happening. I'm telling you, These people want something to do, isn't it? Raila has to be kept busy, so there will be money. BBI was the case. He will move from everywhere, consulting, traversing the country, now discussing about the 10-point agenda. But do you know what? To implement that thing, you need a referendum. It will be rejected in court. It will be rejected by people, but they will have spent our money around 33 billion shillings, and they are not shameless about it, because they will have spent that money.
I think my...
I've given you my view.
He talked about BPS.
With all due respect...
He talked about BPS. Is that 33 billion shillings?
It doesn't have to be there.
With all due respect...
Go ahead,
Control of budget is saying everything. They are budgeting for what is not a priority, non-priority budgeting. They say, something you call economic called fast charge. When you see your salary, there are some things you spend money on fast.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Go ahead.
With all due respect, you know, these scholars, when they speak sometimes, they speak with a lot of finality. But today I want to challenge his finality, because he's projecting what will... He's a seer. And maybe that is why his book is Solomonic. He's projecting what will happen, yet it has not happened. But I want to categorically say here that as an ODM member party, that this government must make things work.
Can I pick another caller?
One.
So that you have two calls at the same time to respond.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, Mheshimiwa. Omanga from Kisii. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Question or comment, Mheshimiwa is listening.
Ningetaka ucomment kulingana na hii discussion iko kwa TV saa hii.
Yes.
Na ningependa niongee na Kiswahili.
Endelea.
Sana sana huyu member of parliament from Kibera.
Yes, endelea.
Sana sana nilikuwa naongea hawa wanaongea katika TV saa hii, more especially member of parliament from Kibera. Sisi wa Kisii tumekasirika sana na hii matumbo yao, wacha wakule kabisa.
Kwa nini umekasirika, Omanga? Omanga, okay. Mheshimiwa, you have your time to respond. You respond to Moses and now Omanga. Go ahead.
Me, what I'm saying is that when we come to these public televisions, we need to come and discuss the policies at what help our country. We must look at how this SHA must work for Kenyans. I think that should preoccupy our thinking, that if they have to change from NHIF to SHA, then the Kenyans must get the best out of it.
Yeah.
I think that is what the agenda that we should be talking about the people. We should be talking about unemployment of our youth and how can we help our youths to get employment. So as a Kenyan people, those are some of the priorities that we should be discussing and offering solutions. Like my colleague professor here, he should come with solutions that these unemployed youths, what should we do as a Kenyan? You do not need to be a member of parliament to change the lives of the people of Kenya. In your own capacity, like now what you are doing today, you are changing the perception of Kenya by calling two of us here to give our opinion.
Right.
You would not wait. You will not wait to be a member of parliament to do what you are doing. As a professor, he needs not to be a member of parliament. He needs to use his position. But now I understand he has an organization. Is it J25? Maybe this is also a good platform that he must use to make Kenyans know really what they lack and how it can be sorted out. So I'm waiting. In fact, I will ask him for his book to go and read. The next time when I come here,
he'll buy.
Of course I can buy. The next time I come here, I will talk about his policies. And if they can be used to help the current situation of our country, why not? We need to offer solutions to this country. We need to come here and offer solutions, like my friend. So even as we need to see that this SHA is working, we need to see that we have employment. We need to see that our universities are not suffering. We need to see our education system flawless.
Okay,
so we are not saying that we are going to sit and see things.
So let me ask you this question, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
You're a member of ODM, and I believe that in your meetings, anytime you sit to consult as members of parliament, there is that magic stick that you have. When you're talking about solution, what are we likely to see? Some of the changes we're likely to see after this MOU that has been signed. Because the 10 points talk about, the abductions, inclusivity, etc., etc. But deep down, what are we likely to see at the end? What's the end game?
One of the things that you have pronounced well is about inclusivity.
Right.
This country belongs to all of us. That we must share equitably the resources of this country. That all parts of this country, whether it is northeastern, that we must share.
You have a professor calling, called Professor Vitalis from Kwale again. Professor, good morning.
This
morning to you.
Are dangerous.
Professor, what is your question or comment? And probably, as I ask you this question, what do you think should be, next? Go ahead.
Wacha niongee kwa Kiswahili.
Right.
Chenye inatakikana tufanye sahihi ambayo inastahili kuje next. Kitu ya kwanza tuangalie Kenya yetu iko vipi sasa hii, kiuchumi, kisiasa, kihealth. Mimi nitasema hivi, kuliko kuongea mambo mengi sana, tusaidie wenye wako kwa uongozi sahihi, tupeana hawa maarifa ya kulinda wana Kenya na kupea wana Kenya vile tunaweza kuwa. Kumbuka kila party iko na sasa yake ya siasa. Pengine tunaweza sema hii yenye inaelekea sasa hii sio nzuri. Kwangu mimi naona ni nzuri. Watu wengi sana wamebelea mshahara na mimi nimefuata sana. Kitambo kama ulikuwa uko na NIF, ungeweza kuaccess any of the fund. Lakini sasa hii mali popote kwa mgonjwa aenda kwa hiyo hospitali. Ukiangalia sasa hivi ile uchumi ya Kenya iko, kwangu mimi naona inapanda. Inakuwa vizuri. Kitambo tulikuwa tunanunua unga shilingi 200, mafuta ilikuwa shilingi 200, sasa hizo vitu zote zimerudi chini. Sasa the next thing ambayo mimi naomba sisi wakifanya, tuangalie vile tunaweza pata kazi hapa Kenya, na kazi iko. Ukiangalia sasa hii port inajengwa pale, ukiangalia port imejengwa pale, ukienda pale ya Mombasa hivi kuna port ambayo imejengwa upya, barabara inajengwa. To concentrate kwa hizi development tujenge Kenya kuliko siasa mbaya. Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. Tayari wakae chini kuwa na cheti chako ili ufanikiwe kuliko kusema fulani ni mbaya, fulani ni mbaya. Uliza kazi kama inalingana na hiyo cheti chako ya masomo, ni kuna hakika utapata kazi. Sasa wakati wa sasa hii mambo ya siasa imeisha. Jenge Kenya.
Asante sana, Professor.
I think just to pick from there, I think
go ahead.
At least now you did not select
that was random sampling.
That was random sampling. And he has expressed his opinion.
Yes.
That instead of talking about just politics, and before you touch the name of Raila, then you have not talked politics. I think as a country, we need to look at how we can sort out some of these problems.
Yes.
I am in Education Committee. When I sit there, that every time I must talk about how can we employ the teachers. I must talk about why do we still lack teachers in the SS. I always talk about how can we sort out the problems of the universities. How can we sort out the pending bills of the universities and make them run. You can go to the Hansard and see what I always talk about. So, as members of parliament, we need to have corrective measures. We need to take our country a step higher. We cannot keep talking about things which have no inclination in terms of our social and economic status for nothing. We need to talk about things that will help this country. We must look at how can we employ our youths. We have about 100,000 teachers who have not been employed now. what can we do? Can we put a budgetary allocation for these teachers to be employed? Like now, we vote for teachers to be employed and put them in a budget, BPS. So I think these are some of the solutions as a country we require to make our country move forward. So I think my colleague, Professor, because of your good mind that I know you have, you use it progressively and help us have solutions that can help or alleviate poverty in this country. And I think that is my sentiment, that we need to sit and work together as a country and see how can we help this country to move to another level in terms of our economic status.
And part of the agreement talks about employment.
Yes.
Tackling employment, part of the 10-point agenda.
Yes.
Okay. I'll get back to that shortly, Bishma.
Victor,
yes,
allow
Prof.
me to say that what better way to do by putting in a book? You know, you can say I'm not contributing. I've written a book.
That's why I want to have this book when I live here.
Secondly, I was on set since 2021 telling people that bottom-up economic model will drive this economy into trouble, isn't it? What did they do? They called Strathmore to get me fired as a professor from there. That is a fact. Go and check. The son-in-law to the president took over my position in Strathmore. This is a fact, because this cannot be lied. Go to Strathmore, go and check. So when I contribute, go and Google. I've written Solomonic model, how to do budgeting according to Solomonic economics there. I have a lot of literature out there, but you are the one who does not read them. Maybe you are concerned about reading about, for example, what Sakaja is doing in the Mapishi. What I'm trying to say, no one should question, because remember, this is my 4th book. I've written a book on strategy, corporate. I've written a book on economics.
Can I pick another caller? Huh? Can I pick another caller kindly?
Yes.
Kindly. Mwaura kutoka Ngong. Mwaura, good morning.
Good morning, Sister. How are you?
Karibu sana to the program. After the MOU, what do you think should be the next course of action?
The next year, tunatarajia kwa sasa muungano. Ile muungano unaye sasa hivi tunatarajia tupate mambo mazuri, kwa sababu sasa hivi kitu tunatia kuwe mbele sasa hivi ni kitu kama kazi, vijana wetu wapate kazi. Hizo ndio vitu tunatarajia, kwa sababu ingawaje viongozi wakienda pale wanaendaga kujifaidi hao wenyewe, lakini sasa naomba tu wakuwe na ile roho ya vijana wetu wapate kazi, shazi pale kwa sababu hatutaki maneno mengi, kwa sababu tayari kila wakati tunakuanga after election lazima kuwe na maneno. Sasa ile kitu tunatarajia ni kazi ifanyike kwa mwananchi wa chini, tuache kuonyeshwa kwa vitendo, kwa sababu baba amekuwa pale akitetea wananchi. Sasa yeye amejiunga na serikali. So tunatarajia atume serikali ifanye kazi. Ingawa serikali inafanya kazi, mimi sisi tunadai zaidi. Lakini naomba tuone mkataba kufanya kazi. Hatutaki, kwa sababu kila siku kila ndio nchi yenye siasa zikiisha tunaanza na zingine. Na ndio sasa hiyo kitu tuonyeshe vitendo na kazi. Kwa kufanyika hatuna shida.
Thank you. Asante sana. All right.
So what I'm trying to say is, first of all, let me advise, I'm very happy you're sitting in the budget committee.
Not budget.
Education committee. Yeah. Education is in trouble in Kenya. Ask any stakeholder in education, they'll tell you we are not moving in the right direction. So what I would ask here, please support the pending bills that are really bringing down the education. The capitation, let them be on time. This will help. How people budget in education is not really gearing up to what happens. I can tell you, education is when I was Kibaki's economic advisor. When we are able to ensure we bring our education in the right order, we'll thrive. Because I can tell you, we have around 12,500,000 households in Kenya. Every household has an average of 3.4 child going to secondary and primary school per household. Every household spends around 68,000 shillings per child per household, on average, I'm saying so. Which means every household spends 233,000 shillings per household. If you multiply that one by 12.5 million population households, you are getting 2.84 2.84 trillion in household expenditure and education. If you offer free primary education and free secondary education, that 2.8 trillion is a stimulus to the economy, because the person, instead of spending money on school fees, will buy a shoe, or will buy a dress, will buy a phone. The economy will work. But you guys, everything is all for the elected members and nothing for the citizens. And the more money you are spending on yourself, even if you're saying representing people, you're not representing them in terms of how much money goes to them. The money comes to you. You are the first charge. Whenever money comes, as soon as tax collected, the first expenditure is to them. The last expenditure, wananchi have to wait. Like pending bill, they say they are still doing auditing. The people who supplied their services last year are still waiting for auditing to take place. So I'm urging you, please ensure that you pay these pending bills to Uzima University. Not just Uzima, but Mount Kenya.
Let's come back to the discussion.
Just let us work on those things. And I'm wondering why the 10-point agenda does not have these issues there, if actually he is concerned about education.
All right, thank you. Elijah from Kajiado is also on the line. Elijah, good morning.
Good morning too.
Question or comment, what do you think should be the next course of action after the MOU? Go ahead.
Allow me to speak in Swahili, eh?
Yes, go ahead.
Because I'm not good in frequent Okay, langu la kwanza kabisa,
yes,
ni vyema kuwapongeza na kuwashukuru viongozi wetu.
Asante
kwa kupatana. Kuwashukuru kuna kuwapongeza viongozi wetu, Mheshimiwa Rais na Mheshimiwa Raila, kwa kuungana kwa kuleta jambo ya MOU. Langu la kwanza kuchangia ni kwamba yale wameazungumzia pale, at least tuone wakitimiza, kwa sababu wakifanikisha ni faida kwa Wanakenya. Jambo la kwanza kwangu kuangazia ni kwamba wameangazia kuhusu ajira ya wanarika. Hiyo ni kitu rahisi tu kabisa. Hilo tuone kama ile jambo rahisi kabisa wataweza wapatie vijana wetu kazi, sababu ukiangalia kama mabarabara imejawa na manyazi, vichaka ni mingi. Tuanzie na hiyo ya vijana, alafu tuone kama next move anaweza. Hivyo tu.
I got it right. Thank you so much, Elijah. So you've heard it. The first question, which is part of the 10-point agenda, is youth unemployment should be tackled. How do you handle that, Mheshimiwa?
I think
now that is a concern.
I have vividly expressed my desire that the government must tackle the youth employment agenda. One of the things that they have been trying to do is about to export labor outside this country. But I think it has not succeeded because we have had some youths that have been trained. He was saying they were training at Uzima University.
To go to abroad, yes.
To go abroad, and Mount Kenya University. But I am also made aware that every time we have a new CS, they keep changing these agents who train these people going outside the country. I think there is serious conflict of interest, even in this training, that each person wants to have their agents to train these people. It means that maybe these agents, there is a way that they work with them, and they keep changing goalposts. And that is why some of these people have not acquired and have not gotten employment outside this country, the labor market. The last time I heard the CS of labor saying that it will depend on a demand basis from those Arab countries. And when you talk about a demand basis, and you have already trained 50,000 or so Kenyans awaiting employment outside, you see, that kind of venture on uncertainties and keeping the youths waiting without being taken, you see, is another problem. So we must look at other ways to spur economic growth that can absorb the already youth bulge that we have in this country. So these are some of the nitty-gritties that we need to look at, like when we have professors of economics. They need to advise that how do we spur economy through small enterprises?
Right.
How do we have a local borrowing or international borrowing? How does it affect our economy? I think this is what we need to work out as a Kenyan, as Kenyans.
In 20 seconds, Mheshimiwa, now that we are winding up, in 20 seconds, What is that something that Kenya should take home after this MOU? Anything good out of it that we should be looking at the end of the race?
One, the most important is that we need to have the stability in this country. Stability creates or spurs a lot of things. If we need economic development, the first thing is about political stability in the country.
Okay.
Two, we need to stabilize this country by having free health care.
Okay.
That has been promised. And you remember when we are at Naivasha talking to the SHA, the CEO of SHA, and we thought that he was not really conversant with what is happening in SHA. And we asked that the CEO, if need be, then we need to get people who understand what they are doing and put those in place. And again, we need to strengthen our education system.
Thank you.
Because the way it is going, we need to employ more teachers. We need to run the CBC, the JSS, and we need to manage our local universities and offer good management.
One last call as we wind up. Rono from Nandi. Rono, good morning.
How are you?
Salama, salama, Baba. What's your question or comment in 10 seconds?
Yes, I have a problem with the MOU because it was signed by the two people, not with the two parties.
Because those are the biggest and the largest political parties within this country.
Oh, yes.
And when they come together and sign, they, you know, the constitution of this country, the first constitution, is representation. You know, you can delegate representation.
Sovereign power.
Sovereign power.
Right.
Can be delegated or can be used directly.
Okay.
So the people of Kenya, they have delegated this to their leaders of political parties.
Yes.
And that is why they go and sign on behalf of the political parties.
You know one good thing about you gentlemen, you're all teachers. And one thing is
so
time.
allow me just to say something.
Just because already time is up.
We have already explained how this economy can be turned around.
Yes.
We have talked on television since 2021, and that's why I'm inviting Kenyans that on 28th of this month, we are starting to convene our own leadership. J25 has got a coalition of around 4 parties now. We are concerned about now delivering, because you cannot delegate your vision to people. I have delegated my vision by writing a book, by explaining on television, but then I'm just being fought, isn't it? So we must tell these people, in 2027, we will elect one of us.
Thank you.
They will come in to advise us from the behind, but the head must be one of us. And that is what I'm trying to say. So J25 is about a movement born on the street on June 25th, and we didn't enter status, we entered parliament. Now we shall enter parliament through the ballot, and young people, get your IDs, get your voter's card, elect one of you, not one of them, because one of them will go and sign a circus in KICC, which does not represent you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. You know what? I like it.
You know him, he's an economist, but now I'm a politician. I want to thank my people of Kibra for giving me a chance to come and represent them. Bedroom, to come and represent them and articulate their policies, what they want me to do for them, and ask them that they need their support so that I can continue with what we are doing for them.
Thank you.
Asante.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. We've had more than we were supposed to be given because it was okay. To all Kenyans who called, we respect your opinion, we respect your stand, and you had great minds here to respond to them. There is no problem. We are a democratic country, right? And after this, they're going to take tea. They're not fighting, by the way.
No.
They're not fighting. So, thank you so much. My name is Victor Lowe. Let's do this again tomorrow. GMK takes a break. We'll be right back with this. Stay tuned. Goodbye.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Absolutely no way. You should keep it.
Come on, what's going on? Why did you bump into the door? Who is that?
Put your feelings aside for now and focus on your work.
Last night we agreed that we won't flirt anymore, and it hasn't been 24 hours yet. Why did you break your promise?
Don't be jealous over there. That one, I cannot touch.
Get ready for the Shift Season 2. We're shifting from the studio to the grassroots, where policy meets reality. Your views meet government's voice.
This is not just about principal secretaries or any senior member of government. It is about you.
From agriculture to infrastructure, health to housing, MSMEs to the digital superhighway, a creative economy and beyond.
Get exclusive updates as Principal Secretaries share first-hand insights on the bottom-up economic transformation agenda rollout.
As we shift in transforming Kenya, we also shift from the studio to come to the field to check on what is going on, combine what we say with practically what is happening on the ground. Don't miss the program.
Every Tuesday on The Shift.
The Shift, Tuesday at 9 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth reggae vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hatija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
Wellness is important in our daily lives so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have. By regular checkup, people don't know they have hypertension, they don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Mali backpass charge goal! Cote d'Ivoire are back in the game!
The FIFA World Cup 2026 Africa qualifiers match schedule is up for match day 5.
In Group F, the Gambia will host Harambee Stars on Thursday, the 20th of March from 10 p.m.
Shown, and which may show here. And yes, the breakthrough's there for Kenya.
Catch the action live from Alassane Ouattara Stadium in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, live and exclusive. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Thank you for keeping it. KBC Channel 1, you're watching Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. And now the first conversation of Health Tuesday. We're talking about teen pregnancies and trauma, given that according to the World Health Organization, over 21 million teenagers aged between 15 and 19 years of age do get pregnant, and out of that, 12 million give birth, and this is mostly experienced in low and medium income countries, and that forms the premise of our conversation, given that for many, pregnancy is supposed to be a time of emotional well-being. But then again, when it comes to teenagers, it's a whole different stories, because we are talking about a person who may have been actually, they are not ready to get pregnant, and this alters not only their physical attributes or aspects, but also affects their mental well-being, which is why we are talking about that topic today. Dr. Deidre Wade is a professional clinical counselor and supervisor from Kentucky, United States of America. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
And also Dr. Yolanda Crouch, who is a professional counseling psychologist, also from the United States. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
How
Thank
are you
you so
doing?
much. All is well.
Now, we are talking about teen pregnancies and trauma. And I just want to first get the psychology of it. And let me start with you, Dr. Yolanda. Talk to us about the nexus between teen pregnancies and trauma.
Well, they sort of intersect, okay? Because first of all, when you're talking about teen pregnancy, most individuals, teens, should I say, that become pregnant, they have already experienced trauma. Okay, whether it was in the household, whether it was with a caregiver, and so the trauma's already there. And so now that the trauma is there, then most of the time the self-esteem is lowered, their sense of safety is not there. So they're always seeking someone to make them feel safe. And that's how most of them end up in relationships. Well, they think that the person loves them, but then after they become pregnant, and then things change.
And that is mostly what happens, because they are not well prepared mentally to handle these effects. And there's also a sense of, you've talked about a sense of safety. And Dr. Wade, you know, these things happen, some of them are not planned, and some of them happen out of abuse.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that is one of the things that may lead to trauma, because it's something that they may have not been expecting.
Absolutely. Yes. As Dr. Crouch was saying, they're experiencing trauma, maybe trauma in the home, maybe trauma from a family member's home, a friend's home, whatever it may be, they're experiencing that trauma, and then add on to the unexpected pregnancy that they're dealing with, and then all of the things that go with that.
Yes. Why is it important that we have to talk about teen pregnancies and its connection to trauma?
We have to keep the communication open. I mean, first of all, we need to talk about trauma. We need to know what trauma is, to know that many have experienced it, and then especially, as Dr. Crouch was saying, a lot of these young ladies have experienced trauma, and then now they're in situations. So I would encourage parents to talk with their daughters about this situation, talk about this with their sons as well, because this needs to be an open communication between parents and children to know that they're safe, and then also about the risk of pregnancies as well.
What are some of the mental illnesses are we looking at when it comes to traumas that are associated with teen pregnancies, Dr. Yolanda?
Well, mental illnesses could be anything from anxiety to borderline personalities. There's so many that comes from teen pregnancy. But I think what I really want most individuals to know, teen pregnancies, most of the individuals are seeking, they're looking for something. And when you're looking for that sense, once again, that sense of safety, you have a tendency to reach out to whomever says they love you or they care about you. And the more support we give teens, whether it's a mentor or whether it's community support, programs that deal with youth, the more support that teens are able to get, whether it's girls or boys, young men, because the more support we give them, we're teaching them, one, to love themselves. If you don't love yourself, then you will sometimes fall through that particular crack.
There's also the aspect of post-traumatic disorder from this.
PTSD.
Is it also associated with teen pregnancies?
Well, it's associated with teen pregnancies because it intersects with trauma. And as long as you have a teen that may be angry about a situation, a teen that may be experiencing some ADHD situations, okay? That's where the PTSD come in, because it's reoccurring thoughts of why I don't feel well, why I'm not this and why I'm not that, or my mom said you're this and this and this.
And also brings about the aspect of suicidal ideation amongst the teens.
Because if you're not feeling good about yourself, or someone has told you that you're not good enough, and that you're continuing to hear this in your head, then you don't feel good enough about yourself. So now, why am I existing? Why am I here?
Questions abound. And we shall talk about the kind of support that is supposed to be accorded to these teens. But Dr. Wade, let's talk about the postpartum depression amongst the teens.
Yes.
What is it and what are the signs to look out for?
So it is important to recognize when anyone, I don't care what age they are, if they have a baby, they give birth, it is quite normal to experience what we call the baby blues. Maybe, oh, you know, I'm a little sad, little down in the dumps type of feeling. But then if weeks progress and you're not bonding with the baby, you know, there's major signs of depression that are setting in, it can get really scary. Maybe there's high anxiety associated with that. Oh no, you know, what's gonna happen to the baby? I'm so scared, and just being on edge all the time. That could be part of postpartum depression too. It's not just the crying and depression, it can be that, you know, that just on edge type of feeling, so anxious. So.
What about the relationship between the mother and the child? Is that one of the things to look out for? And
yes.
What are the traits that any person can look out for, especially when it comes to the relations between the mother and the baby, especially now we are talking about the teens?
Yes, absolutely. Teenagers, I mean, they're still trying to find their way in the world anyway, so they don't know exactly what to do as a baby. When I had my babies, I was older, but I didn't know what I was doing. So they're already young, they don't know what they're doing necessarily. That's okay, people can come along and they can help, but if the teenager is, oh, I don't want to mess with the baby, you know, just not having that bond. So it is important to recognize how the mother is interacting with the baby, making sure the baby's safe, of course, and the teenager's safe.
Yeah.
And
Dr. Yolanda, are all our teens who have fallen pregnant or have given birth, are they susceptible to trauma, things like depression, postpartum depression? Is it or is just most of them?
I would say most, even before they become pregnant, and then afterwards, it's definitely ongoing for most. Because when you are thrown, it's a trauma, unexpected event. Because most of them, you know, when they engage, they're not thinking about having babies. So once they find out, it's unexpected, what do I do? So when you're at the what do I do stage, then it's like, where do I go? How do I handle this situation? And that's where a lot of the trauma comes in. Now, because they're angry, because most of the time the mate leaves in most cases, so now you're left to figure out how to handle this situation, how to maneuver life, and what does this look like for me at 12. I worked with teen moms for a long time, and most of them, we end up taking the children because they couldn't handle it. They would leave the children at home alone, leave them with a caregiver for weeks at a time. It was just unbelievable.
And there's also the aspect of having an open talk about sex to teenagers. When should it start?
Well, I would say just being, when you're open, welcoming, being able to talk freely about, okay, I would start talking about the body and the formation of what it looks like if you're talking about birth. Then you want to deal with the mental health behind what this looks like. This is going to be depressing. Your body is changing. You're going to be angry sometimes. Talk about all of those factors. So if you could, maybe start with, once again, the physical aspect, and then start talking about the mental, what this looks like. How do I break this down? Especially with teens, because as Dr. Wade said, their minds have not really fully formed. So they don't understand the ramifications of what it looks like to even have a baby. So if you start with what it looks like to have a baby and all the changes that go with it, in most cases they'll be like, no, I don't want that.
And even sometimes, Dr. Wade, parents may find it a little bit hard to start these conversations. And so why should it be important for them to open up early enough to avoid these cases?
Because of, communication and education is key for any topic that we're talking about, really, when it comes to mental health. So I know that there's an embarrassment factor about that. A lot of parents are like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, out of sight, out of mind type of mentality. That doesn't work, especially when kids start getting in relationships and hormones are involved in feelings, as Dr. Crouch was talking about. It can get really difficult to say no, but that's when the parent early on, as she was saying, needs to talk about the body. These are the parts of the body. This is how we treat our bodies, and that self-love is really important too.
Yeah, you know, we are talking about this conversation and also a lack of it now. And say this teen now gets pregnant. There's a sense of fear. Does now that make things harder for the parent or for the parent and the teenager to handle this pregnancy? And does it lead to cases of withdrawal and, like we are saying, depression and PTSD?
Absolutely.
Cases?
I think of a family that's well established, going to their church, you know, well established in the community. This happens and there's that element of shame and guilt, and then the fear of what others will say, fear, you know, what they'll not only think of their child but think of them as parents. So there is that fear too. And then the fear of the financial fear, the fear of giving birth, all of those fears.
Dr. Yolanda, can we say the level of exposure for parents when it comes to these issues matter in terms of addressing teen pregnancies and the trauma that we are talking about? the level of exposure.
I just
maybe.
I
Okay,
guess
I don't want to say the level of education.
no, but I when you say that, I understand. But
Yeah.
I think you also need to understand that when you're talking certain levels in life where individuals are, there may not be a parent, one. And two, does that parent actually know how to talk to that particular child? Because my mother didn't. I'm a product of a teen pregnancy. My mother did not know. So how do you give someone something that you don't have?
Yeah. So if we are talking about, so how should parents approach this, Dr. Wade? How should they approach this aspect now that, let's say, I have a daughter, she gets pregnant. The first thing maybe I'll do is lash out. What's the best approach?
That might be the natural inclination to lash out, but to think about where is that, how is that serving the situation? Maybe that parent needs to talk to another trusted adult friend, or maybe the parents need to communicate together, but the lashing out is not going to do any benefit to the teen girl who has gotten pregnant. I mean, that's a given. So to think about processing one's own feelings, and the teen girl needs to be able to have a place to process her feelings. It may not be with her parents. It may be, like she was saying, a mentor, someone at their church, like whomever it may be. They all need to be able to process the feelings appropriately, because there's a lot of strong feelings around. I
want to get your perspectives both. Have you worked with teen mothers, and what has been the experience? Let me start with you.
Yes, I've worked with teen moms long term. The experience was, most of them were very angry, had long history of domestic violence in the home, sexual abuse, which was compounded with the partner that they chose. And so it continued to perpetuate a lot of the things that they've seen in the home. So they were angry. When I say angry, I mean aggressively angry, fighting, aggressively, whether it was with someone within the home or whether it was with staff. It was really chaotic.
Dr. Wade.
So in my experience, I've had some girls who have been really successful. Their parents, maybe they have said, okay, this has happened. We will make sure to take care of the baby, and then we need you to pursue your education. A lot of girls that I've worked with have not done that. So that would be the other thing I would want to push parents to be able to do, to support the individual, support the teen girl in any way, so that she doesn't feel stuck either, that she still has opportunities in some capacity, that she doesn't have to just feel like this is my entire life and I have no goals whatsoever. It's going to be difficult for sure, but she can still dream, and have that education piece is important.
It also speaks about the perception of one about themselves. There are those who feel like they have failed in life. This has happened. It has happened. You have gotten pregnant, you have given birth, and you're still a teenager. Why is it important to ensure that these people have a positive mindset even as they continue with life?
Because your outcome later in life comes from where you are now. And what I mean by that, support. If you have someone that's positive in your life, they will continue to push you and say that you can make it. On those days when you have to get up and have to feed the baby and get the baby out to whether it's a daycare and you need to go to work, support. Support is most prominent with a teen mom. Without support, the team, that particular team is not going to make it.
And we're talking matters to do with mental support and material support.
It has to be all around. Mental, definitely first, and then physical. Because if that particular teen needs a break from that child, the teen should be able to call and say, hey, could you babysit come take care of the baby. Can I bring the baby for maybe 3 or 4 hours? So that particular teen can get some mental well-being.
Dr. Wade, is there the role of healthcare providers and physicians in making sure that these people get the right support?
Yes.
How and to what extent do they come in?
Oh, that's a great question. It's a broad question because the support could be making sure, who do you talk to when you're having a rough day? Who do you call, when you need a break from the baby? Can you get a break from the baby? Because everyone needs a break from the baby. That sounds non-motherly, but it's true. We all need that break. So making sure that the teen is getting, like she was saying, the mental support that she needs. She's getting the physical support. If she doesn't have enough food to eat or stable housing, that's going to be a problem, not only for her, but for the baby. So healthcare providers need to see all of the potential signs, including postpartum depression, because as I mentioned, that can be very scary for both.
Yes. And importance of even, because there are those who may not have access to prenatal health care.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Is there a way that society can work to make sure that this cycle of trauma, because you're talking about stigmatization, judgment is one of the things that people deal with, even when it comes to teen pregnancies. How can society work to ensure these things do not really come out and affect the person negatively? Or how can it be dealt with?
Educate, training, support, ongoing communication. They're vital. And what I mean by educate, training programs, whether it's in schools, churches, government programs, if we can train, first of all, if we can train teens about their self-perception, how they look at themselves, and learn how to say, it's okay to say no. That is very important because most young girls are afraid to say no. So if we can educate them on, train, this is okay. It's okay for you to love your body. It's okay for you to say no. Training, educate, communication, support, that's vital.
Yes. I'll throw the same question to you.
Okay, yeah, and I was just sitting here thinking, a lot of the girls that I've worked with, they, like I said, they maybe had big plans, and then the boyfriend moves into the home, and then there's another pregnancy. So, saying no is very important, and just because you've had a baby doesn't mean that you have to continue with the cycle, and maybe have more babies and things like that. It's, okay, this happened, this roll with the punches, as we say, just, being able to be resilient and move through this, and that doesn't mean that you have to continue that cycle.
Yeah. Sometimes the society views the girl as the sole person responsible for that, but also there's the aspect of the boy who is responsible for the pregnancy. Is the society harsh on the girl more? And is that one of the reasons that leads to effects of the negative effects of teen pregnancies?
I would say the easy answer is yes, because the girl is the one, she's showing the pregnancy, she's the one delivering, she's typically the one that the baby lives with too, and she's solely responsible for. So, the boy can live his life, finish university, things like that. And there are some, well-meaning men out there that will do the right thing, but I would say yes.
But if you're talking about matters to do with counseling, shouldn't it involve both?
Yes.
If, for instance, I have my son, you have your daughter, they have gotten pregnant, you're taking that responsibility of taking your child to counseling. Shouldn't we do that as a team and take the child to counseling?
Yes, we should. But in most cases, when you're talking about teens, the young man does not want that.
But between the man and the parent, who has more say in these matters? If you are going to do counseling, because there's a responsibility that is coming, that is there. And these two will need guidance.
But I think it depends on the area you live in, the states, because some states say parents don't have that say-so, especially in America. So you can't have that involvement. And so with that being said, it's normally up to the teen to bring the parents in. So the parent is not bringing the teen in. And if the young man says he does not want to be involved, that's it in America.
So there's a sense, in a way, culture also plays a role in it.
It does, yes.
And how can we cultivate now positive culture to ensure that we are talking about mitigating these things and dealing with them as they come? What is the place of culture in all this?
Well, from my experience in Kenya, the church is a powerful tool, for lack of a better word, to be able to promote these things. I know some churches are very hush-hush about sexual issues. It's not meant to be, talked about in a church setting, but I believe it is important to talk about that. Maybe in groups of young women to be able to talk about these things and to encourage parents to talk about that, because, here again, education is key with that, and just knowing how to say no. It shouldn't be separate from their spiritual self, for example.
Yeah. Dr. Yolanda, can this trauma we are talking about, the nexus between teen pregnancy and trauma, lead to generational trauma?
Yes, because it continues to perpetuate.
How do we break that?
Training, education. Because if we don't talk about a situation, how do we change it?
So there's a need to create a safe space.
Safe space.
That people or even teenagers can talk freely about these things.
Yes.
Interesting. And, we are talking about this, and why should access to mental health, should it be something that is fully adopted in school curriculum?
Yes.
To help them deal with not only with these traumas we are talking about, mental trauma resulting from pregnancies. Why is it important to include that in curriculums?
It's very important to think about, even the idea of washing hands. That's physical health. Just talking about, being able to teach those types of things. It should be as common as that. How is your mental health? Because I think a lot of people think of mental health as something that's failing. To anytime that's brought up, oh, they're crazy, or they're this or they're that. But we all have mental health every day, all day.
And as we come to a close, does this affect the education future of the children, of the people now that bear these children during teenage? Does it in any way mean that this is going to be a cycle henceforth?
It will not be a cycle if we are able to address it. Communication. For instance, the teen mom, in most cases, if she decides to keep her child, as the child ages, then she needs to address, okay, this is what happened, and I want to keep you from going in the same direction. That's where the communication, the training, addressing the situation. If we have the ongoing open communication, it will not continue to perpetuate. But if we continue to close the door with closed minds, it will perpetuate.
Dr. Wade, what is the place of law in all this? Teen pregnancies, trauma that is associated with it. And some of them do get these pregnancies, as we said, out of abuse.
Yes.
What is the place of law in all this?
Oh, I think the law should be very firm, for people who abuse young girls, and this results. That's my professional opinion, if that's what you're asking about.
Yeah, and stronger laws for that matter.
Yes.
Oh, nice. I want you to give each a minute to give your closing remarks, and I'll start with you, Dr. Yolanda.
I think on the whole, as far as teen pregnancy and trauma, they intersect, and so most of the time the trauma comes first, whether it's in the household, however the teen encounters it. And afterwards, the trauma is sitting there in the mind. And the individual begins to act out in other ways. And once that happens, then other things occur. For instance, the pregnancy. If we can communicate to young adults, we're concerned about you, we love you, we are open and we're here for you when you need us, being able to have that open door, I think it will address many of the issues that they're having, feeling not loved as far as suicide and the PTSD.
Dr. Wade.
So addiction is near and dear to my heart. So I have to tie into addiction to this topic. So 1 in every 6 Kenyans is taking some sort of substance. So that includes the teen girls. So that I would say that they are probably more likely to abuse alcohol, which is the top substance abuse in Kenya. So that would be something to talk with the teens about as well. I mean, just to make sure that they know how to cope. You know, what are your healthy coping skills? Talking with other people and having those healthy coping skills.
Yes, that was the time. Thank you so much for gracing our screens once again, Dr.
Thank you.
And Dr. Yolanda, telling me to talk about teen pregnancy and trauma. And one of the things that has come out is education, training, and communication. This is where we wrap this conversation. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Mike Migu. Don't go too far. Health Tuesday continues shortly with Vivian Ndegwa. Good morning.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Ibada ambayo ni rahisi sana katika mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani ni kufunga. Ndio ibada nyepesi zaidi kwa sababu unasusia tu chakula, japo njaa huwa na ugumu wake. Lakini kuna mambo mengine ambayo ni magumu zaidi kuliko kushinda bila kula. Idha dakhala Ramadan, pindi Ramadhani inapokuwa ni yenye kuingia, futihat abwabul janna, milango ya janna, Allah huifungua milango yote 8 kwa ajili yetu sisi. Milango 8 inafunguliwa kwa ajili yetu sisi kwa sababu ndani ya mwezi wa Ramadhan baraka nyingi zinapatikana ndani yake.
Nadali kulli falahi, nadali kulli falahi, huwa ahmadun wa
Wellness is important in our daily lives so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. They don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers.
Stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Get ready for the Shift Season 2. We're shifting from the studio to the grassroots, where policy meets reality. Your views meet government's voice.
This is not just about principal secretaries or any senior member of government. It is about you.
From agriculture to infrastructure, health to housing, MSMEs to the digital superhighway, a creative economy and beyond.
Get exclusive updates as Principal Secretaries share first-hand insights on the bottom-up economic transformation agenda rollout.
As we shift in transforming Kenya, we also shift from the studio to come to the field to check on what is going on, combine what we say with practically what is happening on the ground. Don't miss the program.
Every Tuesday on The Shift.
The Shift, Tuesday at 9 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Chance goal! Cote d'Ivoire are back in the game!
The FIFA World Cup 2026 Africa qualifiers match schedule is up for match day 5. In Group F, the Gambia will host Harambee Stars on Thursday, 20th of March from 10 p.m.
Shown, and which may show here. And yes, the breakthrough's there for Kenya.
Catch the action live from Alassane Ouattara Stadium in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, live and exclusive. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Well, go on, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday. With me, DJ_Liza Diva.
DJ Cold.
And me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hadija ai, mani especially ukisonga.
And Good Morning Kenya gets to continue. Today being a Tuesday, it is Health Tuesday, so we get on to a different topic on matters health, and this particular one is very, very needed. It is a conversation that is not really spoken about that much, but it is a condition that is there. It affects so many women in this country, and it's just about time for us to get to talk about it. We are talking about endometriosis, and in studio with me today, I am more than pleased because we'll be getting two perspectives on this condition. We have a gynecologist who is here, and then we'll also be having an endo warrior. So with me on my far left, we have Dr. Laureen Mengesa. She is from the Kenya Obstetrical Gynecological Society. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And then we also have Elsie Wandera. Elsie is an endo warrior. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you ladies on set with me today for us to talk about this condition that is endometriosis. And just maybe to begin, just a quick search on Google on the data on endometriosis in this country, and research shows that there is no really appropriate data on it. So I'm like, okay, Probably, yes, we should talk about this.
Yeah.
How come maybe, Doc, how come there's no definite, data on endometriosis in Kenya?
So for a very long time, the question has been, is there endometriosis in Africa? And a lot of people have actually thought that this is a disease for white people. And so a lot of effort has not been put into just figuring out, do we have this in Africa? Do we have this in Kenya? Are black women suffering from this? Because about 70% of the cases that have been reported have been from the West. But now with time, we are actually starting to realize that we do have endo in Africa, and a lot of it are that. And so we're now just starting to get more research into it, and with that is how the data is coming up. So previously there wasn't too much information because it wasn't thought to be an African problem.
All right, I understand that now. Kindly explain to us what endometriosis is all about. Someone was trying to explain to me, as I was telling you earlier, and they said if they were to explain it in the easiest of way that one would understand, they would say, you see the way we have, this skin, our mouth, so they were explaining it's like the way this side is as it should be, and then on this other side, the inside is now on the outside. The lining on the inside of your mouth is now bare, it's outside. Kindly just explain to us, that's just in very layman language, so just explain to us what endo is.
So endometriosis means that we have normally the lining of the uterus. So this is on the inside of your uterus, what is normally preparing essentially to receive a pregnancy every month, and what is shed when you have your period every month. So it is when you have this lining occurring in places outside the uterus. So this can either be on the walls of the uterus or completely outside. So it can go onto your ovaries, it can go on the ligaments that support your uterus, and in extreme cases, it's completely ectopic, meaning you can find it in your chest. You can find it in your eyes, you can find it in your ears, you can find it on your belly button. So the problem with this is that this kind of lining, it's supposed to respond to hormones. So every month, cyclically, there's hormones that are playing around in your body. This is what is giving you your menstrual cycle. So these same tissues, wherever they're found, they're responding to these hormones. So meaning if you had this tissue, for example, in your chest, every month it's being stimulated by those hormones and it's bleeding. So it's bleeding and creating, foreign products in your blood, in your body where they're not supposed to be. And this is now generating some inflammation, some irritation in your body. And that is where the pain comes from. So you have the lining that was supposed to be in your uterus now occurring in sites where it's not supposed to be. And that is where the problem begins.
All right, I understand that, and I'm more than pleased to have, Elsie here with us because we can get to hear her side of the story. So Elsie, let's get to listen to your story. When exactly did you start having issues, for you to get to a point where now you've been diagnosed and it is endometriosis, and how long did it take before you got to know that, okay, it's endo?
Thank you for having me, and I'm just really excited to share my lived experience. So, like you said, my name is Elsie Wandera, and I am, of course, an endo warrior. And that's why I'm dressed in yellow, because yellow is actually the color of endometriosis. So in this month, yes, you missed the brief, you guys. But so here we are representing the voices of the millions of the women who are out there who continue to suffer in silence. So for me, I started presenting my symptoms when I was about 13. I think when I started my menses quite early. But I remember that was the first time when I, experienced pain, and I was like, what is this? Is this normal? And I remember when I was asking around, the narrative was, that this is normal and this is expected, that girls should actually suffer and women should actually suffer in silence. And silence there is the key word. So it took 13 years for me to actually be definitively diagnosed, because again, the norms in society, where narratives like, painful period is normal, where, for example, there was shame associated with me visiting a gynecologist, right, to talk about these issues. And, so we're not, at that time, and even today, I don't think we are pushing people or we're encouraging women and girls to actually seek, to protect actually their reproductive health in general, right? So for me, when I first walked into that doctor's office, and then I was talking about this issue, I think I was about 26, and I remember I walked in there with my then boyfriend, and you know, I was talking about my symptoms and what I was going through, and he just said, you know, you have endometriosis. I was like, what? Yeah. Like you, it just sounded like such a mouthful. Yeah. And the way he was explaining it sounded just so, I was like, what is this? It sounds like such a foreign like disease. Like I must have like this disease that no one has ever suffered from and no one has ever, you know, no one knows about. So the easiest way he could describe it to me, so similar to what you were being told, is that my uterus was growing inside out.
Yeah.
That was the easiest way for me to actually understand what I was going through. So it took me 4 years. It took me 13 years, and I'm 44 this year, actually turning 45, and I've had 4 surgeries to try and treat and manage the condition. Lost my ovaries. I was actually telling Daktari just, you know, due to the progression of the disease, and now I'm on HRT, so that's really the disease, but I know there are more questions that we can unpack, you know, just because that feels like a lot, right?
It definitely does feel like a lot. It is a lot, actually. Now, maybe to you, Doc, you know, as she said, you know, we've normalized period pain. That is just the usual. Like, as a woman, you just know when it's that time of the month, you expect to get your, you know, it has a name. Forgotten it, but you know, you get those cramps. Yeah, that's the name. You expect to have the cramps, and it's just the usual. So when should it be alarming? Because now, as she said, she went and she was, it's normal. Unajua, too. It's kawaida. You've started your periods. It's normal for you to cramp. So when should it be alarming? And what are some other symptoms of endometriosis?
Okay, so period pain is not normal, contrary to what a lot of people are led to believe, and probably that is what led to her waiting 13 whole years for her to make a diagnosis. Because what happens is there are 2 things that are highly normalized: heavy bleeding and pain. And you know, you kind of adapt to it, and as you're saying, you anticipate it, knowing that, you know, my period is coming, let me go and get my Buscopan Plus and everything, let me just, you know, be ready for this because I know what's coming. So mild cramping can happen, and that can be normal. A bit of discomfort. Some people have a lot of awareness during their period, just the discomforts that come with it. But once you have pain that you must have a painkiller for, once you have pain that is making you unable to do your normal day-to-day things, you can't go to school. So if you have a child in high school who period means sick pay, so if they're on their period, then they have to be at the nursing station. That's a problem. If you can't go to work because of your period, you can't do your gym, you can't do your sports because of your period, that is not supposed to be like that. So that is abnormal. Other things that sometimes come, so sometimes this pain for some people starts like on the first day of the period, but there are people who start getting pain even days before. It's like, you know, a premonition. They're just already starting to see that pain building up. Other things would be
There's
pain
actually a
even
picture on our screen.
Yes, for the endometriosis, just to show what we were describing of the lining, which is what is in red, and how it is now existing in other places outside the uterus, and which is what is causing the pain. So period pain in that level definitely is not normal and needs you to actually see a doctor.
What are the
Other
symptoms?
things that can also show up is you can have pain even when you're doing other things, like when you're passing urine, you have pain. When you're passing stool, you can have pain. I see Elsie nodding, meaning she knows exactly what it is, and it's excruciating. So normal things that your body should do without that level of discomfort, and they're giving you that much pain, then that's a problem. For patients who are already sexually active, then pain during sex is a problem. That is definitely not supposed to be there. Other things sometimes, because if you see from the picture, so there was the endometriosis that goes outside the uterus, but there's also endometriosis in the wall. So this tissue is also not supposed to be on the wall, just on the lining. So if you see those little dots on the wall of the uterus, when you have endo there, then it makes your uterus not function well in terms of contracting during your period and stopping that heavy bleeding. So excessive bleeding during your period, heavy bleeding, that is a sign that you could be having endo. So sometimes it may not necessarily be just the pain, these other things can associate. And something very important to note is that sometimes the pain does not necessarily indicate how bad it is. So sometimes you have small lesions, but they're causing extreme pain. Sometimes you have larger portions of the endometriosis and the pain is moderate. So you cannot necessarily say, you have just a little pain, so the endo is not that bad. It really, really varies extremely widely.
All right. There's something she also mentioned, the late diagnosis. She had to wait a whole 13 years before she got diagnosed. And this is a story for most endo warriors. Even the late Jambi Koikai, God rest her soul in peace, she was talking about this and speaking about the fact that, hers was also very late. It was diagnosed when it was a bit too late, So maybe what's the reason? Is it that we don't have enough equipment in the country? Is it that we don't have enough qualified, gynecologists or, to be able to point this out early? Because I believe it goes in stages, and the earlier it is diagnosed, maybe the better. So just why?
So the why question comes from different directions. So one of them is just awareness. As I said earlier, for a long time, this was not thought to be an African problem. And so what we call index of suspicion, which means when you come to me as a doctor, the moment you start talking to me, there are things that are coming to my mind as to what could be going on with you. And so when this is not top of your mind as a possibility, then you end up treating every other small thing. So you're like, okay, take these pain medications, let me see you in a month. And typical patients, they'll probably come back next year because they've been taking those painkillers you prescribed. They'll take them again for the next 6 months, 12 months. Then when the pain graduates to another more severe level, then they come back. Another thing is sometimes, typically when you see an gynecologist, you'll be asked to do a scan. But not all scans can pick up endometriosis because sometimes these lesions are so small. They're like very tiny, tiny dots, and so the ultrasound might not pick that up. So by the time you're picking it up and seeing it clearly on an ultrasound, probably you've progressed to larger issues and more prominent kinds of things. So I think awareness has been one of the biggest things that has been affecting, how fast this is being diagnosed. Awareness both on the patients to actually know, this is a problem and I need to actually come and see a doctor, and awareness on the practitioner to be like, okay, this is not normal and I probably need to dig deeper into this. And then in terms of making the diagnosis itself, sometimes it's not so obvious, not so direct. Some imaging might miss it. So you also have to really listen to the patient and to be able to understand the pattern of this pain, to be able to say, what, I think this is endo.
All right. Before we get to, there's another diagram you had sent. You wanted to talk on. But before we get to that, maybe we can get to listen to Elsie. Just how different was your experience during menstruation compared to every other lady out here who is not suffering from endometriosis, and just get to describe that for us so that as we said from the beginning, this is a condition that most people don't know about, and it's about time for us to create awareness on it. So if you can just describe how that was for you. If you're open to describe the pain as well, let us in on it.
Absolutely. I think it's it's important and to talk about it because again, at that young age, pain was normalized, right? So what endometriosis was, so for me, throughout my cycle, so whether I was on my period, whether I was ovulating, whether I was just relaxing, between those, the 4 stages that we know of our menstrual cycle, I was in pain, I was in constant pain. And so I was very heavily medicated. So like Dr. Mengese is actually saying, a lot of us are reliant on pain medication and over-the-counter pain medication. So for me, the normal, the normal painkillers that I would get over-the-counter would not work for me. So it meant at least once or twice a month, I was in hospital. I was in casualty or the ER. Getting pain medication intravenously. To describe the pain, how do I do this? It feels like a cactus inside, or it feels like a grenade that's actually exploding, that's going off. And so the posture for me was, I was always in a fetal or bending position. So those always, and my family would know, and I really bless God for them because of the support that they gave me through that time. My mom would know, like, it's time for a hot water bottle, or she's in bed, or she's going to be screaming and shouting, and just crying out for help and, you know, to be rushed to hospital. And so that's what used to happen. And what that meant for me, even when you think about my career, like, you know, that disrupted, you know, a few of my days in terms of just being able to work consistently throughout the month. So I think on average about 2 days of work were missed out. And I think, you know, that's what my life looked like. Sex was painful, just for your information. So I completely agree and can relate with what Dr. is saying. So for me, that was it. And also painful bowel movement. Like I dreaded eating. So I feel like I had some PTSD towards just because I'm expecting my periods. It was nasty. And you know, just like eating for me during that time was problematic because I feared going to the toilet because I was just like, who's going to experience all of that pain? And I wasn't looking forward to it at all. And I think for me, just that constant reliance on medication, and I keep saying right now, because I'm not on my periods, I'm like, I don't miss my periods, which is such a strange thing for a woman to actually say, because we're supposed to love this thing that God has given us, right? It's not supposed to be so torturous. It's not supposed to torment us for the rest of our lives. But that for me, my life was never pain-free. I don't know how people, if you guys, both of you, had, you know, painless periods. I don't know what that, I don't know, I can't relate to that. I just can only relate with pain.
Okay.
And so I feel like that's the thing that distinguishes me from
everyone.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate. Now there's the other diagram, Dr. Mengesa, if we can have it on the screen, that you can also get to describe what the diagram is all about. But even as we get it, maybe does endometriosis affect a specific demographic of women? Does it affect any a specific demographic of women, and what are some of the causes? But before we get into that, there's the diagram. What's happening there?
While we get to that, I think I'll start with your first question.
Okay.
So Elsie has highlighted something extremely important. She started having the symptoms when she was 13, probably when you got your first period. And so endo can start from your first period. It can be your introduction to reproductive health, and that can be your story from then on. Commonly, what the literature says is between your 30s and 40s, that's when it peaks in terms of, that's when most of the cases are picked up. But you can literally have it from your first period, and you can have, what she's saying, a very, very like painful memory from the very first period you have, and you've never known anything else. Periods is pain, and that has been the story from the beginning. So from the first period, you can get endo and start presenting with symptoms. For some people, then it starts later. Now, the cause of endometriosis is still one of those things that I would say is unclear. We have theories. We theorize, you know, what are the possible things that might be causing this endometriosis. And so one of the things that we have definitely figured out is there is a genetic component to it. Meaning if you do have relatives, like for Elsie, if she has sisters, close relatives who have similar symptoms, then there is a high likelihood. So if you have family members with endometriosis, then your risk becomes higher. There's theories that say, you know, people who start their periods very early, or they have very short cycles, 20, 22 days, very heavy flow, then there is a theory about the menses retrograding, meaning going backwards. And so what the theory imagines is that the bleeding comes up and out through the tubes and then goes and sticks in different places, and that's what creates the endometriosis. So we don't have, you know, a particular thing which we will say this is the cause, but those are some of the things that have been brought up as risk factors. So what you're looking at essentially was me just trying to explain, because you talked about diagnosis, and we did say that diagnosis is quite tricky sometimes to really pinpoint. Sometimes, you know, you just know because you get a patient with pain and you give them medication and you see they're responding, and you kind of tell this is probably endo because she's responding to this particular medication. So what's up is just to show you what we call laparoscopy. And this is one of the gold standards of actually making a diagnosis of endometriosis. And so we're normally trying to visualize into your body and see with cameras. So what you're looking at is small devices. So we make small incisions on your abdomen and we go in with tiny cameras. And when you do that, then you're able to literally see how these lesions look. And we call them matchstick spots. If you can picture a matchstick and the black head on the matchstick, they look like dark spots like that. So you're able to see those tiny dark spots. You can also see what we call chocolate cysts. So she says she had her ovaries removed, or so there is a possibility she had those. So what happens is you get these huge cysts in your ovaries. And because remember I told you this is tissue that was supposed to be having your period in your lining. So it's doing the same bleeding, and so it's accumulating old blood essentially. And this ends up looking like if you were to melt chocolate and pour it. So when we open them, that's what we see. So this allows us first to be able to make a diagnosis. So with laparoscopy, you can be able to look inside and see this is actually endo and establish the extent. Remember we said that endo is actually staged. So we have what you are calling very early disease, so stage 1, and this can go on until stage 4. So stage 4 is extremes, like people like the late Jambiko Ekai, who you just mentioned, were people who are on the extreme end of the spectrum. There's also milder forms of the disease. So when we do laparoscopy, then we're able to first visualize the disease and confirm the diagnosis. We're able to tell the extent of this. We're able to also see, is there other things going on? Because what happens with endo, you can also have adhesions forming. Adhesions means because there's all this inflammation going on, there's some stickiness, some strands that form, and this also adds to the pain. So not only just the endo is causing the pain, but the reaction that's going on the inside is causing the pain. At the same time, you're able to also attend to the condition. That is, try as much as possible and resect. And by resect, I mean cut out and remove the lesions that you can see in as much as possible. And in some extreme conditions, we actually even have to have a general surgeon in the surgery, because sometimes it's gone even to your bowel. By the time you're having problems even passing stool, it means somewhere along, you know, your GIT, there is those spots and lesions there. And sometimes you actually have to cut out portions of, you know, your rectum if it's gone on there. Yes, just to relieve you of those symptoms. So this is something that's extremely important because, number one, it's minimally invasive. So that means that your recovery from the surgery is better, but it also gives us all these benefits. I can actually see her in my office after the surgery and we can look at the images and I can tell her, guess what, this is where the problem was, and you can look through it. And even when it comes to teaching, we can also use the same videos to be able to, you know, to train and teach other doctors what to look for and how this condition actually presents.
So at least we've gotten to a point where you can be able to diagnose this. Like there are ways to do it, that laparoscopy and, you know, other ways. At least we have that. At least we do. Now, Elsie, you mentioned that you've had to undergo 4 surgeries, and you eventually lost your uterus.
Ovaries.
Your ovaries, not uterus. Yes. Oh, sorry about that. No. So kindly take me through that. You know, like, what point does it get to for the doctor to now decide, okay, now we have to do a surgery, we have to get rid of this, just from your point of view and what was explained to you?
I think, and I appreciate the doctors that have walked this journey with me, because again, 4 surgeries on any one human being, just trying to treat the same issue is not easy. And again, like, I think my first surgery was to definitively diagnose, because by the time I was sitting across from the doctor, yes, he could hear the what I was telling him, he could hear what the symptoms that I was experiencing, but he needed to definitively diagnose and know the full extent, like where is this disease and where is it like really manifesting and where is it causing a lot of the discomfort. And I remember some of the things that I think coming out of that first surgery, he told me like there was something like he did like called adhesion lysis,
yes,
which is I think chopping up those adhesions. And then he also, you know, just emptied like a sack of like the ovarian cyst that had actually come up like around my ovaries. And I think what happens during laparoscopy, and is that, I mean, and during those surgeries of just removing those, the lesions, I think there's a potential, I mean, there's potential for my ovarian reserve to be eaten into, because where the ovarian cyst is, the cyst is actually growing on the ovary. So, unlike men, because our ovaries, that's like our what would you call it? It's like a bank. It's a safe.
It's your safe.
So every
That's a
time
good
you
word.
keep like taking from that resource or that storage unit, you're depleting the resource, and that's what happened to me over the 4 years, because most of the how the endometriosis for me was manifesting is through those chocolate cysts. So several times, I think maybe twice or thrice, I think they went in and that harvesting happened. So by the time I was about, it was 38, I had, you know, my gynecologist at the time. I was working with a fertility specialist, and, you know, she was telling me that, Elsie, I think, you know, your fertility has been impacted, right? So if you're thinking about conceiving, you know, your ovarian reserve is low, and therefore you know, I suspect it's low because I think at that time I'd already lost one ovary. So she told me, okay, let's test and you know, just check where you're at. And so at every turn, the doctors were gauging how painful, like what was the quality of my life basically. How painful was how painful was the pain that they needed to actually give me that relief, and therefore that informed them then resorting to, okay, we've tried this other pain management, we've tried hormone suppressant methods, because there are different methods of managing you know, and treating this disease, but there's no definitive cure. So for me, those were the things that they tried. And so by the 4th surgery, I mean, of course, I was just like, yes, I just signed papers. There was nothing. I was going in again for relief, just to get relief. But then by the time, you know, I came out, you know, I remember the doctor just told me, unfortunately, we could not save the last ovary that was there. And it was fine. I mean, I don't mean fine like it's okay. So, and I don't mean to normalize this if anyone is listening out there and feel like you need to do this and you need to go and put pressure on your doctor to do it. No. If your ovaries are healthy and are functioning, there's no need to remove them. Even your uterus, there's no reason, because that's not necessarily the treatment and the cure, like equivalent to give you relief from endometriosis. But for me, it was just because we needed to
get that relief.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you completely on that. Now, Doc, maybe, you know, as we almost come to a conclusion, does it interfere with one's ability to conceive? Is it one of the reasons of infertility? And even as you answer that, also you can take us through the treatment options available.
Okay, so definitely it's going to impact your fertility. So remember, this is where the baby is supposed to be. So you have your uterus, you have your ovaries. Now, Elsie has mentioned that this is your safe, this is your bank. Actually, when you're born, you have all your eggs with you. And like men who keep producing sperm, you're given your charges to walk around with from your birth. And so what happens is, from the time that you're in your reproductive years, you start losing these eggs. And by the time you're getting to 35, the rate of loss of these eggs becomes faster. And that's why, you know, we have all this talk of, you know, I tell my patients, so are we thinking babies? Are we thinking babies? Can we start now? Because by the time you go beyond 35, then your fertility starts to drop. Now, imagine this safe now has something else interfering with it. It's not now just its natural rate of loss, but there is something causing inflammation. Inflammation just means, you know, irritation, producing harmful chemicals. You've had her describing a cyst. So when you have a cyst on your ovary, that could actually interfere with how your ovary is supposed to work. This means you're likely not ovulating as you should. So that means your capacity for getting pregnant is already being impaired. This wall that was supposed to be containing your pregnancy is undergoing inflammation. There's this constant state of inflammation, meaning if you're to get pregnant and the pregnancy comes into the uterus, it might not find it receptive to the pregnancy. And so you might be prone to having miscarriages, like preterm, you know, events coming in that allow you to lose pregnancies before they're viable. So definitely it affects your fertility. From other sources, like you can imagine if sex is extremely painful, this is not direct, but would you really be keen on even the process of getting this pregnancy there? So this also affects relationships because you're not keen on intimacy. Intimacy for you is not pleasurable. It's something that, you know, you're like, maybe let me just try this for today for the sake of him, but at some point it's too much, and even your partner will be like, every time I touch her, she's in pain. I don't want to cause her pain. So it's both your mind and your body and how you're experiencing your relationships, and also physically your body starts to have problems with this. Then remember, if you start having this way early, like now from when she was 13, so you're already having these symptoms from early on. You start having surgeries, you start having all these procedures. They're definitely going to long-term impact. So when it comes to management, we have medical options and surgical options, and this range from how severe is this. So sometimes something as simple as just your combined oral contraceptives, your usual, you know, chagolako, yasmin type, can help, because what happens is when you give sustained hormones, then it tends to suppress the activity of this endo and prevents it from spreading. Then there are more developed medications, things like Visan. I'm sure this has come up a lot, for you. And so they're hormonal treatments, largely hormonal treatments, either oral or injectable ones that try to suppress endo from progressing and from developing. Alongside this, there's always the pain medication. And one of the things I always say to my patients is, please don't self-medicate, because sometimes what my patients do is, now you give them this one pill, tell them, can we see how this works? So when the one pill doesn't work, they take 4. So you just keep graduating up on the scale. Now you're getting heartburn, you're getting side effects from this pain medication, and it's not working. So pain medication always comes hand in hand with the hormonal treatment. Then next step is now surgery. Like we said, with the hysteroscopy, surgery is both to make a diagnosis and to treat the condition. And the surgery varies from just trying to excise the areas with a problem to completely removing the uterus, the ovaries, and any other areas where the condition might have affected.
All right, we need to finish up with this conversation. I feel we still need more time. But good thing is, March is Endometriosis Awareness Month, so we definitely need to create more time to have this conversation. In the fewest of words, I wanted to speak to someone who's just been newly diagnosed and they feel like, okay, my life is done now. Just very quickly, that's your camera. Just speak to her.
Okay. I want you to know, one, that you're not alone. There are very many women who are out there suffering, but I want to also assure you that there are many community support groups. One that I started, that I turned this pain into purpose, and started the Endometriosis Foundation of Kenya. And through that, we also created a program called the Endo Buddy Program, where you can come in and join, and we can actually pair you up with someone who will be able to walk this journey with you. So you are not alone.
All right. You are not alone. I want to leave it at that. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me for this conversation. And I hope that you will avail yourself if we get to call you back, because we can never get to an end of this conversation. So probably still sometime this month, we'll create time for that as well.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I believe that you've gotten to know now about endometriosis for those who didn't know nothing about it. For those who knew about it, yes, the awareness is now out there, and we need to put it out there more. We need to be loud about it. For anyone who's suffering from it, it's not the end of the road. Now, I have been with my beautiful ladies here, the beautiful guests. We had Dr. Laureen Mengesa, and we also have Elsie Wandera, and this is where we come to a close of today's Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Dagwa. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Get ready for the shift season 2. We're shifting from the studio to the grassroots, where policy meets reality. Your views meet government's voice.
This is not just about principal secretaries or any senior member of government. It is about you.
From agriculture to infrastructure, health to housing, MSMEs to the digital superhighway, a creative economy and beyond.
Get exclusive updates as Principal Secretaries share first-hand insights on the bottom-up economic transformation agenda rollout.
As we shift in transforming Kenya, we also shift from the studio to come to the field to check on what is going on, combine what we say with practically what is happening on the ground. Don't miss the program.
Every Tuesday on The Shift.
The Shift, Tuesday at 9 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Artificial intelligence that evaluates traffic and can prevent congestion. Autonomous flying vehicles that communicate with each other. It all sounds pretty cool, but do innovations like this really make travel better for us? What is the future of smart mobility? Today on Shift. 150 hours in traffic every year. That's the reality for the average person from London or Chicago. That's almost an entire week stuck in your car waiting. Congestion is a huge problem in many big cities, but what if we could leave the road behind before we can kiss the traffic jam goodbye? But another mobility revolution is on the cusp of a breakthrough. Fully autonomous robo-taxis are making an appearance in the streets of San Francisco.
Driverless cars like this one are a common sight here in famously tech-friendly San Francisco. Cameras, radar and LiDAR technology continuously scan the car's surroundings. The cabs use cloud-based map systems to navigate their way through the city. But the technology isn't perfect. Cars don't always wait where they should, and often stop when they get confused, blocking traffic.
I don't know why we're stopped.
Accidents have happened. One car crashed into a fire truck in San Francisco, sparking protest, especially amongst taxi drivers.
They are a menace. They stop unexpectedly. They actually have broken the law many times. We see them signal one way and then go another way.
Sharon Giovinazzo is more convinced. Her non-profit is partnered with an autonomous car provider. And for a blind person, no driver means no discrimination.
One of the things I found out with taxis and rideshare services, because I choose to have a guide dog to navigate the world, is they will leave me standing on the side of the street and they will cancel rides even after they pull up and they see the dog. They don't want to have the dog in their vehicle. Whereas here, there's no opinion because there's no driver.
And autonomous vehicles can navigate traffic more smoothly than a human being, she says.
When you're like, or you know, that sudden stop that's made, or you know, you feel people swerving and people honking at you and not being able to see what's going on. It's fearful. It really is. I've never had one fear sitting in one of these. I just say that it's welcome to the future.
So far, robo-taxis are something of an experiment. And not all people in San Francisco want their city to be a test track. But it seems they are here to stay.
Autonomous vehicles are being tested worldwide. From VW's rollout of driverless minibuses in Germany to China's driverless cabs, it's a race for supremacy. But driver assistance systems aren't welcome everywhere. In China, Tesla drivers aren't allowed to park in certain government or military areas. Their cameras and sensors scan a little too much of the environment. Modern vehicles collect vast amounts of data, all in the name of safety and convenience. But can a vehicle know too much about us?
Is your brand new car collecting information on your sex life? If you're in the USA and driving a Nissan or a Kia, it just might be. That's according to the terms and conditions there. Modern cars are equipped with cameras, trackers and microphones. They can access a phone's data when it's connected to the car. Data is valuable, and car companies know that too. The Mozilla Foundation found all 25 car brands it investigated were collecting far more data than necessary. In their words, it was a privacy nightmare. According to the study, 84% of companies shared personal user data with third parties. 76% even profited from it.
So, if you want to keep your private data to yourself, make sure to use onboard apps sparingly and only link your smartphone if you really need to. The data gathered by your car can be useful to us, though. It can help us get from A to B faster and more safely. Take a look at this project from Europe.
Vianova is a micro-mobility agency based in Paris, specializing in data on scooters and bikes, modes of transport which reduce congestion and emissions.
We realized that, of course, these new modes of transport were bringing great benefits to citizens, but at the same time bringing a lot of chaos on the streets that cities were struggling to deal with.
Recently, mobility companies and public transport systems have begun compiling vast amounts of raw data. This data is then used by cities as they see fit.
A lot of industries today have massive amounts of data that they don't know what to do with yet.
Data analysts then collect and aggregate everything into maps like these, while agencies like Vianova visualize the data. Their maps are responsive and interactive. This provides different kinds of anonymized information on residents' movements, which is useful for public authorities.
Cities would be able to understand which areas of their territory is more used in terms of trips departures or trips arrivals. They will also be able to better understand the mobility patterns from point A to point B. And in that regard, they will be able to analyze whether these trip patterns are using a certain kind of infrastructure. So, for instance, is it using bike lanes or bus lanes or just pavements? And then, based on this analysis, we'll be able to plan the missing infrastructure.
Belgium's capital, Brussels, works with data analysts to get a better overview of the usage of e-scooters and rental bikes in the city. Brussels has seen one of Europe's most significant increases in shared mobility concepts. Data analytics helps Brussels city planners better understand how mobility operators use public spaces and how best to regulate them.
We regulated much higher than before. So starting from 2024, there will be less vehicles, less providers, more strict rules in terms of parking.
The city is working on a sustainable mobility plan. And if all goes well, digital solutions like this will become more common across Europe.
It's a solid place to start, but for many in the tech industry, it's a bit bland. They'd rather conjure up the really big ideas. We spoke to tech writer Paris Marx.
Instead of kind of really mundane things like invest in buses and, think about how we distribute street space and maybe make some cycle lanes, it sounds a lot more attractive to say, the cars are going to start driving themselves and we're going to make this new tunnel system for transportation and we're going to have flying cars finally.
Investors and media can't get enough of bold, high-tech new transit projects. One of the most glaring examples is Hyperloop, a high-speed, above-ground vacuum tube popularised by Elon Musk in 2013. British billionaire Richard Branson, owner of Virgin, also supported it. In 2017, construction began. Passengers were to travel 1,000 kilometres an hour across the US, India and the Middle East. But the closest this came to materialising was a single test reaching just 160 kilometres an hour. And the costs were far greater than predicted. Undeterred by the failure above ground, Musk opted to go underground. First, he pledged to dig elaborate systems of tunnels under cities where 16-person self-driving pods could zip around with ease. That quickly became a pledge to develop a system of so-called skates, which would sweep electric cars across towns at speeds of up to 200 kilometres an hour. What did end up being built in the end was the Loop, a one-way tunnel for Teslas to meander through at a mere 64 kilometres an hour. Well, at least it exists.
It is mainly just an attraction for Teslas. You know, it's a way to sell Teslas. It's not really affecting traffic. It's not really solving transportation problems. It's really, I call it a Disneyland ride for Tesla fans.
Despite the ill-fated glory projects, the Loop is to be expanded to almost 50 kilometres. The projects play to the imagination and garner capital. But can it solve traffic problems? Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
So if big tech won't solve our traffic problems, who will? If you ask me, we shouldn't just sit back and wait for flying cars to come save us. It's always best to start small with the realistic ideas that can actually make a difference. Otherwise, we could end up waiting years for big tech to become affordable. As for me, I'll be taking the tram home for now. How do you like to travel? Do you have good public transport in your neighborhood? Let us know. See you soon. Bye-bye. Imagine you log into your online banking one day and your account is completely drained, cleared out by the likes of cybercriminals. Identity theft is on the rise, with real implications for people like you and me. But how do these criminals operate, and how can we protect ourselves from attacks? One way scammers lure in their victims: by impersonating celebrities like Elon Musk. Fraudsters have long tried capitalizing on the name of the US entrepreneur. More on that later. But just recently, a deepfake of Elon Musk was streamed over several hours on YouTube, drawing tens of thousands of viewers. Take a look.
You can directly deposit any amount of Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Dogecoin.
The fake Elon directed people to scan a QR code and transfer cryptocurrency, promising to send back double the amount. The scammers used AI to manipulate the billionaire's face and voice, as well as official-looking Tesla and SpaceX branding. Another recent scam targeted someone less prominent but was hugely political. Deepfakes were created of this Ukrainian student, Olga Loik. Her likeness was used on Chinese social media to promote Russian products and politics.
I saw that this is literally like my face speaking Mandarin, and on the background I'm seeing Kremlin and Moscow, and I'm like talking about things like how great Russia and China are.
But there are far less flashy examples of identity theft happening every day. Scammers use fake text or WhatsApp messages to siphon off personal information. Experts at the Hasso-Plattner Institute in Potsdam explain.
Many of these spam or phishing campaigns are geared towards aspects of everyday life. I'm expecting a package, a file's been shared with me, I've been sent a contract. Scenarios that, at first glance, don't seem unusual.
Like this text message, purportedly from the courier DHL. Clicking on the link redirects you to a web page with a cookie banner. Upon confirming cookie settings, the fake website appears. Upon closer inspection, you'll notice this suspicious URL, a common red flag, and you should exit out immediately. The website looks deceptively real, but if you enter your card details here, you'll have a real problem. And pay attention to the payment methods. Paying in cryptocurrencies isn't a typical option on legitimate websites. Theoretically, the same phishing technique is possible via email, but advancements in spam filters mean it's less common.
It's estimated that well over 90% of all emails are spam, but you won't see many of them in your inbox. That's because internet providers have taken very strong measures against spam. So of course the criminals go elsewhere, to social media, messenger services or SMS.
So best keep an eye out. Scammers like using services like WhatsApp especially. And the risk of being targeted is increasing too. More and more, we're paying for things via smartphone, often via social media platforms like Instagram. Payments are often made digitally and direct, with PayPal, for example. This gives scammers an advantage.
The phone, it turns out, has often more interesting data on it and access to more accounts than your computer, especially second factor authentication, mobile banking. All of these are applications running on your phones rather than your computer these days. And of course, if through a text message somebody tells you to install a different app that looks exactly like, for instance, the banking app that you used before, then they try to steal money that way, right?
So scammers don't just make fake websites, they make fake apps too. That said, that is the more time-consuming method, as hackers can really only target individual users. To rake in the big bucks, hackers seek out weak spots in large databases, which can hold huge quantities of highly valuable personal information. One such database belongs to the world's leading ticket sales company, Ticketmaster. I know I've used them, have you? If so, it's probably time to change some passwords. The private data of more than 500 million Ticketmaster customers stolen, according to the hacker group Shiny Hunters. The data allegedly contains names, addresses, telephone numbers, and even credit card details. The ticket sales company was reportedly targeted via cloud storage provider Snowflake. The breach is said to have given Shiny Hunters access to data from over 150 international companies. 10 companies have already been ordered to pay a ransom of at least 6 figures to see the return of their customers' data. And if you have a spare $500,000 on you, Shiny Hunters is offering to sell Ticketmaster customer data directly on the darknet.
You can get anything on the darknet. You can rent anything, buy anything. There's 24-hour customer service, money-back guarantee. You can't imagine how professional it is. There are whole forums where data from identity theft are sold en masse, even given away.